The train headed for Sunset City will be departing soon.
Yeah,
so
you're just
like,
Sonic
all I'm
forcing
saying is that
it.
maybe the audience needs to start the show this week.
I'm
They never
not
helped out with
saying-
that.
I'm not saying I have a problem with Mormons. I'm just saying, like,
Why?
I have a problem that could be associated with Mormons.
Welcome
my
to Sunset
God.
City, a Sonic podcast for the classic and modern age. I'm Nick and Knuckles. I also have Cirrus and Knuckles.
Hi.
I have Wayne and Knuckles, and we've got Pup and Knuckles.
I'm about to get fisted.
All right,
Guys-
so he gets cuckles.
So I don't know. Well, I mean, no, he'd be directly involved then, wouldn't he? He'd
I
just have
mean-
to watch us get fisted.
You're
Here I
right. You
come.
got it. Rougher than the best of them.
There's a science to this.
Yes.
Given the old rough and tumble.
Oh God.
So,
So-
as per the usual, super chats get read out at the end. Yeah,
we were
don't
we were
worry.
doing some early ones, but
Oh, we
I mean, I
can
think it's just-
still.
Well, no, like we were doing early ones for a couple weeks there, but I
Mhm.
think it'd just be
Mhm.
easier for us to just do it at the end like we've always done, and we've got some fun ideas for the future, which we'll talk about later on. Who's making those?
Wayne, are you
noises?
okay?
Sorry.
You just every single second. Like, are you
Well,
all right?
Yeah, you're not
Fuck
fucking
off.
douching again, are you, buddy?
No! Oh my god!
He's just
Look, all I'm saying is there's nothing wrong with not having a filthy asshole.
he's just feeling that liquid train back up there.
I'm just
I'm gonna put my finger in your pocket, Wayne.
putting in my resignation.
You've already died once. How much worse can it get?
Pup is getting canceled for sexual harassment at the workplace.
No, I'm just gonna dingle his keys
And
around,
the
you know.
15th meeting about Pup was had that day.
When are we gonna get enough meetings that starts matching up with our episode count? Because we're getting there.
Well, I just see them as an opportunity to hang out. So, like, you know,
At least there's
Are
a
you
lore-based reason.
Are you very good friends with HR at this point?
it's all just a game to me, honestly. Like,
It's a numbers game. Eventually, you'll get to dingle that dangle. You know what I mean?
First of all, I just want to say a very special thank you to Nick for sending me out a deluxe edition of the Encyclopedia. Love it. Thank you so much, buddy.
My
And
pleasure.
I also had the Lego set come through as well, and I've been building that, and it's a lot of fun.
One of my patrons, Cecil. You know Cecil.
I know Cecil, yeah.
Yeah, he managed to grab a hold of one too. He really likes it too. I mean, I really like the box for it. I'm not a Lego guy, so I'm not gonna go for it. But yeah, it does look really nice. Eggman
Wait, is-
aside.
Yeah, Eggman looks horrible.
Is Cecil a guy?
I don't know if he identifies as. I should actually ask one way or the
Okay.
other. I don't know.
That's a hard name to say if you've got like a lisp as well, like Cecil. You know, like it
What?
wouldn't.
Okay, here. All right.
Never
What?
change,
Get the
but
dog. Get the dog out of the kitchen.
This
I-
here is Cecil. Cecil is my friend.
No,
Like if you had like new fresh braces in or
we're
something,
gonna.
you know.
We're done.
I
We're done
just-
with that. So Sonic 3 and Knuckles is our conversation piece for today. It's been a long time since we've done a retrospective. It's been a while since I played through the game. I don't think I'm gonna have too much of a problem talking about it. I've played it a couple times at this point.
Just a few?
yeah.
Is there maybe
Yeah.
a giant video you've ever done on this topic? I mean,
To be
I
fair,
wouldn't know.
I'm right there with you, Nick. Like I feel like those are the amateurs on the right side of the table. We're the pros
Hey.
on the left. They need to play the game before doing the thing. We can just talk about it. And also, Sirius, you're not slick playing the game literally 10 minutes before we start the podcast.
Well, I
saw
thought
your
it,
Discord
I thought it was
status.
2 hours. To be fair,
I saw you thought you need to pay attention, my boy.
when
To
did
be fair, we never had that discussion
yeah?
last
I
week.
was about to say when did
really
we have
need to
that?
figure out like a proper start time.
Yeah, when
need to
did we
figure
have
out-
that discussion? When should I if I need to be listening, there needs to be a point where it was fucking talked about.
At
Look, man,
most,
my-
there was a
This is-
hypothetical posed.
My diary is just
Definitely.
on my table. You can come get it and read it and see when we're patched in for. Okay.
Dear
Perfect. Perfect to talk about on air, guys. It's wonderful.
It's our Google Calendar problems, guys.
Management, man, come on.
Well, I mean, who wants to kick it off? I've said a couple words about Sonic 3 Knuckles at this point. It's my favorite game of all time. It's the pinnacle classic Sonic as far as I'm concerned. It's the pinnacle of Sonic as far as I'm concerned. So,
well, I know Pup
What do you
said
guys
he
think
had
of
he had a story, so I'd like to start with Pup.
I have a story about how I kind of tried to obtain the game, yeah. This would have been in about 2009. I'd just played Sonic Unleashed, gotten back into the Sonic sphere, and I kind of dusted off my old Sega Mega Drive, played a bit of Sonic 1 and 2, and I was like, hey, these games are actually still pretty good. And there was this guy at school, and he had kind of a reputation for headbutting the head teacher. And this would have been like high school time, I guess.
How do you develop? How do you develop that kind of?
hold on. You don't just casually walk by that sentence. I'm sorry. What?
We need some
He just
context.
He had a reputation for headbutting the goddamn teacher.
Okay, so basically he headbutted the head teacher, and that's how he got the reputation for headbutting the head teacher.
That's it.
Anyways,
That's
You
it.
called Go Boy? What is this?
So, anyways, I'm walking home from school and stuff, and he comes by and starts talking to me and stuff. And eventually, like, the conversation turns to, like, what games you've been playing recently and stuff. And I said, like, dusted off my old Mega Drive. I was playing some retro games and stuff. And eventually, like I said, one I really want to try out is Sonic 3. It's kind of like one I didn't have as a kid, and I'd like to try it now and stuff. He's like, no way, I've got Sonic 3. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, I could give it to you for a little bit if you want. And I was like, yeah, no, how much do you need? He's like, oh, I'll take £2 and stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, £2, there you go. The next time I see him, he's like, okay, my mum said I can't just give it away for £2, so I'm going to need like £6 and stuff. Gave him £6. I never got Sonic 3. It just didn't happen. It was my first experience with getting scammed. But eventually I would discover emulation, and that is how I played Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
That does remind me. I had my copy of Sonic and Knuckles stolen from me back in grade school.
Oh,
I remember
jeez.
that.
That
But
is...
I got it back because the kid
Did you hunt him
lied
down?
about it. Fuck yeah, I did. Are you kidding me?
Did you look for him? Did you find him? And then did you kill him?
I didn't kill him, but like I was very pissy with him. And
he's
he was
dead
like, Come on,
inside
Nick, you're
now."
still mad about that? And I was like, yeah, you're damn right. I'm still mad about that. Do not talk to me. And we did not talk ever again. And I don't regret that. Piece of shit.
I mean, I feel like I'd be the same way. I'm still trying to figure out where my N64 copy of Command and Conquer went, and I'm pretty sure it went the same way. Some kid probably came over, stole it, and I do not know which one or when that fucking happened. But I know it happened.
Well, justice was served.
Well, maybe one day I'll get justice on my end as well. Maybe. Probably not. Probably not ever. Not if it's right.
I mean, I was a kid when those games came out. I really liked Sonic 3, but like I said in my videos, like I felt kind of unsatisfied by the time I was done with it, just because you'd spend like 3-4 years playing Sonic 2 up to that point, and that was a very beefy game. And like Sonic 3, like I never went for the Emeralds first run through; those were always way too hard for me as a kid. But like I was done with it by the time, like the same night I got it. I think it was like 1 or 2 nights we'd rented it and I'd beaten it, and I was very confused. Like,
You're like,
I
is
mean,
that
it
it?
was fun, but is that it? And didn't feel the need to ask for Christmas or anything after we'd rented it. But since Sonic and Knuckles was that fall release, I asked for that instead with that very satisfying ending, and then the lock-on stuff. And then it was like, okay, and then like for like the next year, I think I would ask my mom to rent Sonic 3, and it have to be that specific copy of Sonic 3.
So you could keep your save data.
Because it did take me a very long time to get through, master the Emerald stages, get through all those levels. Like it was a beefy game for a little kid. But yeah, like one time we got the wrong one, and I asked her to drive me back to Action Video so we could go get the correct one, because they had 2 copies of Sonic 3 over there. And this was 94, 95. I mean, this is going into 95. I didn't own both those games for a while. So that's when like the second was out. I think the PS1 was close by. There's newer shit like people were excited for, so I could get my hands on either copy of Sonic 3 without too much issue. But that was my childhood.
My experience with it is a little different. So y'all know I was a Nintendo baby, not a Sega baby. So my
I was
experience
too.
my experience with Sonic 1 and 2 was going over to friends' houses and playing on their Genesises first, and that was like the only way I could play that game. But then when it came to Sonic 3, by the time I even knew that game existed, my interactions with it were first finding the PC copy of it at an Office Max, and then my mom telling me that I couldn't get it because our computer couldn't run it, which I found out later was a lie. Mom didn't know how to tell if a game could be ran on a computer or not. But my friend who had Sonic Adventure 2 before I ever got my GameCube also had Sonic Mega Collection. So I got introduced to the Sonic Boom opening for Sonic CD. I got introduced to Sonic 3, just Sonic 3 at that point, because he hadn't unlocked it. For those who don't know, in Sonic Mega Collection, you have Sonic 3 and you have Sonic and Knuckles on that game, but you have to actually earn Sonic 3 and Knuckles. You have to, I believe it's like play all the games 100 times and it unlocks it in the menu. And then
This
you
will
can
come up again.
yeah, and then you can actually play Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the version where they're locked on together. So I had no idea that the lock-on technology was a thing at the point until I started watching like old Screw Attack videos, and they would talk about it. Because for me, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I had only ever experienced this game as a disc game, whether it be seeing it in an Office Max or seeing it on the GameCube, and then when I finally got my copy of it, all of it was always disc-based for me. And I remember when I actually started playing it, because I didn't play it at my friend's house, I just watched him play it, and then when I got my GameCube, I started playing it. The one thing that popped in my head was, this game is too big. Like, for a 2D platformer, it, in terms of scale and scope, at least in like how big they designed the levels, they are massive when compared to what we had in Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. And I remember getting lost in some of those levels. But the other major experience that I had, aside from getting lost in some of the levels, was, if you remember on the Sonic Mega Collection disc, they had the Sonic covers for the comics, for all the Archie comics. But they also had 4 full comics on the disc from, I believe, from the Sonic short series that you could actually read. And one of those dealt with Sonic going to Angel Island. And it was a more faithful adaptation of that than like the first bits of Archie, if memory serves, in terms of like how close it was to the events of the game. So you actually would see Sonic like go through the zones, especially however somebody wants to get mad at me for pronouncing it Hydrocity, especially seeing like Water Place. Seeing Sonic like get caught on the poles in Hydrocity and then get snapped and broken as he's moving through. There's comic panels dedicated to that, and I remember as a kid it blowing my mind that was actually a game mechanic in the Hydrocity zone that you had to do, because I saw that on the comics first when I was reading through that shorts area, because for some reason I cared more about that than playing the games at that point. So I just remember like this cacophony of learning like little bits about this game as I went, finding out the thing existed in the first place, finding out about the lock-on, seeing what the ways that the satellite media represented it, and finally being able to actually sit down and play through the game, and then finding out, because I never beat it in its locked-on mode, finding out that there were actually different final bosses based on whether or not you had them in lock-on mode or not, like whether or not you end up fighting Big Arm, for instance. So like a lot of that stuff it just slowly trickled down for me because I never got to experience the game on original hardware. So it was a bit of a fun ride for me, personally.
Well, I mean, even with original hardware, though, I do think there is that sense of discovery, because they do leave it kind of open-ended on how you manage to get things. I mean, it's pretty obvious now that we all know, like, yes, get all the emeralds, beat the game, get the best ending, all that fun stuff there. But like when you throw in the super emeralds as well, it does kind of goof things up a little bit. It took me a very long time to realize Doomsday Zone existed. It took me even longer to realize that the hyperforms existed, and yeah, I mean, like, there's just little bits and pieces there that you don't really realize if you rush through that game. I mean, now it's all obvious, but like that sensitivity was a lot of fun back then.
I think it has
Um,
like arguably the best discovery aspect of any Sonic game. I think.
of the classic ones, at the very least, I would agree, and that's partially due to how they set the game up because Sonic is designed to be Sonic through it. I mean, they do design it in such a way that you could still take advantage. It's just a little bit more challenging compared to like Tails, obviously, and Knuckles has his own design layouts throughout the thing there. But like just the large rings in general, I mean, yeah, they want you to explore. They want you to go out of off the beaten path. Want to get the good ending there, which I thought was really cool. And again, I'm going to be repeating points I've made in videos prior, but I feel like it's the culmination of learned from the previous games because I still say like Sonic 1, CD, and 2 all have special, unique gameplay design throughout them, regardless of what people feel about CD. I still feel like they were going for something very specific, and going in with that mindset, it still works for me. But I would say Sonic 3 and Knuckles takes the very best from all of those previous games and applies them into one game, and it's it's wonderful. I really really love that game.
I mean, it is interesting when you mention it like that to see that the like a lot of the vertical game design, the verticality of those levels in Sonic CD. I never really thought about how that kind of does carry over into Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but looking back on it, that is one of the reasons why I got lost in some of those levels is because of it's not always just a straight shot from left to right. There's a lot of vertical platforming that game is asking you to do, and sometimes going from right to left instead just so that you can scale up some of those even early on. And
I will
that
say
is a
I
carryover.
have I will say though, like there's been a critique I've seen occasionally, and part of me is like, well, you're just being an idiot, and the other part of me is like, well, I mean, that I guess that could have been considered by the developers, and that's some spots in like Marble Garden specifically. I'm thinking about it, where you could take Sonic and you just go into a corner and like, well, what the fuck was the point of this? I'm like, well, the point of that was Knuckles right there, buddy. Like you can't scale the spot there. It's like, yeah, but you have to go through a couple of treacherous hazards to get to this dead end for Sonic. I'm like, well,
Mm.
fair point, but yeah, I would say that would be the one downside to that. It doesn't happen often because again, they do have enough here that help Sonic get through spots, and like the Knuckles specific spots usually are those like those rock walls or a completely different opening level, just so you never have to deal with it at all.
Yeah.
But very rarely you do get into spots that are dead ends that are just unsatisfying when usually you would find at least like a extra life or a ring or something there. But it's like, nope, that's just where Knuckles drops down.
And when you first played the game, like Sonic and Knuckles wasn't out yet. So going through Marble
Right.
Garden, you don't even have access to that character at that point. So you're just like, do I just do this with Tails? Is that what I don't get it. Like I do remember Marble Garden probably being the one zone that I got lost in the most, and I think a lot of those dead ends did attribute to it because like you would get up on a top and you would try to navigate your way around like an aerial maze, and then you would smack up against one of those dead ends, and you just had the thought of like, well, where do I go now? I thought I was
Yeah,
going the right way.
Marble Garden was back in the day my definite least favorite of like Sonic 3. But I feel like maybe we should do like a run through of all the different levels that are in the
I was
game as
gonna
well.
say, yeah.
Because I think there's a lot to say about this one. And I mean, my first observation, because I played Sonic 3 before I played Sonic 3 and Knuckles, was the game in terms of the amount of levels was definitely shorter than 2 was, but the levels are significantly bigger.
Yeah, it's very
So I
true.
kind of saw it as like an okay little trade-off.
I think it's just because last boss was so unsatisfying. Like the music didn't fit like this going into it. They spent so much time building up Knuckles in the marketing up to this point, just to have us not interact with him at all outside of cutscenes.
When you say the music didn't fit, are you referring to the music of Launch Base Zone as like a final
Yeah,
level?
I really did not vibe with the Jackson stuff for the most part. Back in the day, but yeah, like taking it on its own, like it's just not a very satisfying ending as far as I'm concerned. I mean the last boss music of Big Hand was amazing. Um But outside of that, yeah, just very underwhelming compared to what Sonic 2 had on offer there.
So, okay, shall we talk a little bit about like comparisons between like 3 standalone and 3 and Knuckles, or like if we were to take these games as standalone, which is better out of Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles?
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I feel like, because I've seen Yuji Naka say this before, or somebody before, where it's almost just like this regret that the game came out in 2 separate pieces.
Mhm.
Because now this conversation exists where it might not have before. And I do wonder every now and then if we're better off for the split, because I do really love the lock-on stuff, and I love that Hypersonic exists. I love that they reset the the emeralds halfway through the adventure. But
I feel like there's one thing that makes us definitely better off, and that is the Sonic and Knuckles box art probably wouldn't have existed were it not for that split. And that's
I mean
like
that,
probably one of the
yeah.
coolest box arts in the series. Like,
Oh yeah, for
just
sure.
because
I
of
mean,
how
there's
damn mysterious it is, and it almost kind of reminds me of like the 1989 Batman posters where it just had the
It does kind
logo.
of look like that.
yeah, it's
I wonder
very
if that's what
Batman.
they were kind of aping, maybe.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Not
In
in the
terms
slightest.
of like comparisons, I would say like Sonic 3 still has things that I prefer about it to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. For example, I prefer the title music on Sonic 3 by itself. I prefer definitely the mini boss theme in Sonic 3 because I just love that it's like this big machine comes down to this like funky, almost like street beat thing. Can you tell that I'm not very educated in like funk music by the way I describe that? But you know, I liked that sort of dichotomy between like the boss looking kind of intimidating, but almost sounding like it's going to challenge you to a fucking dance battle.
You don't think that's intimidating? I have 2 left feet, sir.
Also, like I must admit, I personally thought that Launch Base and Big Arm was actually a solid ending, but I would say that like it's not the most climactic ending for it. Like I'm not gonna say it's better than the Sonic 3 and Knuckles ending by any stretch. Like that is a whole different, you know, scale to it. But like, I don't know, I thought there was something interesting about like the sort of anticipation of Death Egg's gonna go up. There's like 3 different mechs after you. You got Knuckles causing you trouble. You go in Dr. Robotnik's Egomatic. Also, I must admit, I do like that Big Arms is not like a giant mech final boss, instead just like this very well designed Eggman contraption. And I will say it does have some climactic elements in how like the sky goes dark before it appears. It almost kind of tries to jump scare you. There's definitely an art to it.
Yeah,
but
but
I
it does feel tacked on. Like that feels like the second to last level. That doesn't feel like a last level.
fair
Yeah,
enough.
but
Like
then
absolutely fair enough. I don't disagree.
I do think in terms of scope though, it for other games of that time having, because what is it, like six zones for Sonic 3, and then there's 8 zones that are locked away in Sonic and Knuckles, right?
Yeah,
I think it's 6 and 6, or am I crazy?
So Sonic 3,
I guess so.
you
I
have
don't know. I can't do count. I can't do math. Math count.
So
math count.
for why'd they add Mushroom Hill Zone in that list? You idiot Google. Embarrassing. No, the total is 14, so maybe you guys are right. So yeah, we have Angel Island, Hydro City or Hydrocity, whatever flavor you pick there. Marsh
Let's just
Garden,
rename it.
Carnival Night, Ice Cap, Launch Base, and then they added Mushroom and Flying Battery. Like, no, slow your roll there, buddy.
I'm also going to say this. I love both halves, and I definitely think like the last part of Sonic 3 and Knuckles has some of the best of what the franchise has to offer. But overall, I would say that Sonic 3 is the more enjoyable half of the game for the most part, with the exception of like the finales. Like,
Mhm.
if we talk about like, you know, would you rather play Angel Island or Mushroom Hill? Angel Island wins it every time. Hydrocity, Hydro City, fucking Aquapolis, whatever you want to fucking call that thing.
Aquapolis.
Like, that's my favorite classic Sonic level in general. Okay, I can give or take Marble Garden, Carnival Night, you know, whereas like you move into Sonic and Knuckles and it's like Sandopolis and Flying Battery, all levels I have no desire of revisiting, you know?
I mean, maybe I just played more Sonic and Knuckles. I much prefer the back half of the game. Um, I think Mushroom Hill is a very genius level, just depending on how you look at it, as both as an introduction level and as a midpoint to kind of refocus you, especially if you've replayed the game multiple times.
Well, yeah, I won't
Um,
pretend it's not well designed and stuff. I just think Angel Island has more narratively going on, and it's just more fun in my opinion. But then again, to each his own.
Yeah, I just think there's a little bit more Sonic-y design going on in there. It's like you have a couple fun set pieces and Angel against it all. I do love that level.
The one thing
Um,
I don't like about it is there's a lot of times where you have to stop your momentum dead to do those like pull down vine thingies, where like you have to just press up and down for a little bit. But I mean, to be fair, there's an element of that in pretty much any Sonic level. So
yeah, and I don't know. I guess that's why I like Mushroom Hill. I mean, as a starter, there's a lot of that stop and go stuff there, but I think it's again like I'm talking like I going right off my old script. I apologize. Um, I do think a lot of that stuff is there just to let you have fun more than anything else. I think it is supposed to be there in terms of an introduction. Like, here's how you can interact with your world and just dick around and have a good time. It's got a chill, mellow vibe to it. It's just fun. It's relaxing. I like it. I don't know. I don't know if we really want to do a versus of the same.
yeah, no, I
game,
wasn't thinking
you
of
know?
going into depth about it. I was just kind of like,
Look, all I'm saying is I think that Pup's right hand is far superior to his left.
I mean, it certainly has more experience.
Oh, wait, no. Regret? Regret?
am I smiling? Am I laughing even? Like,
So we need to figure out how we are actually going to tackle this, because it is a very confusing game, because it was released as two separate games when it was very obviously meant to be one game. So is there anything else like you guys specifically have to say in terms of like having it split apart? Because I think it's very confusing personally if they regret releasing it as two games, that every time it's been re-released since they've never really put it out like that. And I wonder if it's out of nostalgia, like they know
I
fans are
like
gonna...
to think that like Takeshi Iizuka is just at a desk hanging his head over like such regret, but then simultaneously splitting the games up every chance he gets. But he's just like, I sure do wish I didn't have to keep splitting these two games apart while he's doing it.
I mean, I never
talk about Hypersonic is like it just looks exhausted.
I never got to talk about my history with the game.
All right,
true.
fine, Wayne. Fuck.
Yeah.
Come on, Wallace. Let's hear
Who
it.
actually cares about Wayne? Like, let's be real.
Oh.
He cares about
Well-
your hands a lot. You should respect him more.
Well, that's
Damn
why I
it.
put them in his pockets regularly, so he can feel like he has them.
Man, I just wanted to
Anyway.
come on here today and talk about a hedgehog. All right. Yeah. So, kind of like Cirrus, I had the Sonic Mega Collection Plus on the PS2 when I was a kid, and that was how I got to experience a lot of the classic generation Sonic games when I was a kid. But also, like Cirrus, I didn't understand how unlocking Sonic 3 Knuckles worked, and so as far as I was aware, those were two completely separate games. And I didn't figure out until much later that they were actually two parts of one whole.
Mhm.
And
Sorry, one hole.
Oh my god.
I hate you. So it was like I played through both and I really liked them. I think at that point it was like I was trying out the original trilogy and I was having fun with them and everything. And I liked Sonic 1 and 2, but Sonic 3 was definitely the one that I enjoyed the most. Like you start that off and it's just Angel Island is such a cool location. You start off with like it's got all these new cinematic elements, like the mini boss comes in and just sets the entire island on fire, and then that changes the course of the rest of the level from there on out. And there's stuff like that throughout the entire game. It's fascinating. And then yeah, and then moving on to like Sonic and Knuckles, which again at the time I thought was a separate game. I really liked Mushroom Hill Zone. That's actually one of my favorite like little opening levels to a Sonic game. I think it's like it's got such a nice vibe to it and everything. So I experienced both of these games separately in my younger years, and it wasn't until like sometime later that I found out that Sonic 3 and Knuckles was a thing where you could kind of like combine them and turn them into something. But I didn't really think a whole lot of it at the time until someone out there made some big, obnoxious, long video about Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Um, and kind of got me a lot more interested in it. So it wasn't until last year that I actually got my hands on actual cartridges of Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles.
No way.
It wasn't until last year that I actually played through Sonic 3 and Knuckles for the first time.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Wow.
and as I have come up with myself, there's a little phrase that I like that I myself coined. That there comes a time in any gamer's life where he figures out that he's playing his favorite game of all time for the first time. No.
I get it. It's from that video, isn't it? Yeah.
It is from that video. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
die.
it was
That Ben 10 guy. He's got a shit channel, hasn't he? Fucking hell.
It really was a special moment though, because, and I think I may have mentioned this before, but like my favorite Sonic game is still Sonic Adventure 1, and there's just a tone to that game that I don't think a lot of other games in the series have quite emulated, whether they've attempted or not. And it was like playing a sequel, or at least a part of that story that I never got to experience before, because it's got some Sonic 3 Knuckles has that tone, or at least maybe Sonic Adventure adapted a lot of that tone for itself. That was there previously, where you've got Angel Island, you've got all of these cool temples and everything, which, if you know me, I'm a sucker for that sort of thing in a Sonic game. It's got like this air of mystery to it, between like, what the echidnas were all about, and what this ancient civilization was like, what are the true nature of the Chaos Emeralds, all this stuff. And it was like actually getting to see a lot of that play out. And Sonic 3 and Knuckles, to me, feels like a proper Sonic adventure, where it really is just the core of that experience. It wants to take you on this huge journey, and it feels like it I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. I'm not forming my words together good. I really, really like this game, and I'm glad that Nick got me to finally try them combined together.
I feel like I want to make a Marvel analogy here as well. Like, I feel like Sonic 3 and Knuckles is like the Infinity War and Endgame of Sonic. Like, where there's going to be a stylistic change coming up after. It's kind of the end of an era, and it feels like a fitting conclusion. Like, if you said that the Sonic series was just 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles, maybe CD, like, it would be a fitting finale.
I mean, I suppose so. That the adventure games, the success of them probably draws a lot from what they had learned from the classic games leading up to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because you can see a lot of parallels there. I mean, Wayne's not wrong. I've definitely noticed that about the first two adventure games. I would say there's a bit of that in Unleashed as well, but again, I need to play through that properly to really do that. But in terms of your rival character, the build up into space for Sonic Adventure specifically, the grand finale that has this extra fight for Super Sonic. Now, which one's done this or that better, I would say a lot of what people love about Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 started with this game specifically, in terms of, what Wayne is saying in terms of tone and narrative and everything.
I think it is, like, for what it was worth and everything it was doing, Sonic 3 and Knuckles was about as dramatic as you could make that kind of game, and that's a good thing. But like, you see a lot of like critics and journalists and stuff saying like, oh, I think that it's good that Sonic games have gone back to the simplistic nature of the classic stories. Like, dude, like, do look at games like Sonic 3 and Knuckles. They are as dramatic as a game like that can be. Sonic has always been kind of blockbustery in its own little way. Like, even if you go back to Sonic 1, simple story, yeah, but like, it still, did take advantage of some storytelling elements, like when you get to the end of Scrap Brain Zone Act 2, and Dr. Robotnik sends you into Labyrinth and stuff. Like, it does feel like a little blockbustery adventure, and I think like Sonic 3 absolutely typifies that for like 2D 16-bit gaming.
I mean, there's a bigger conversation to be had in terms of the scripting for more recent games. I do think there are some similarities in terms of like the tonal maybe not tonal, but like the thematic elements of like Sonic Colors specifically. But I would say like the moment to moment cringy dialogue is probably what brought that down. I still think if they'd gone silent that game, you would have told a much better story in your own head comparatively.
Mhm.
I think the failings of the more simple stories of Lost World and Colors comes down to some really hokey dialogue. If you had just, I mean, handed off to Ian Flynn, for instance, I think you would have had a much better story. Just to give you an idea, specifically, if we're going to make these comparisons, I'm thinking about it. A big problem I had with Lost World is that we have Sonic in this brand new mystical floating landmass with this big angry enemy, red enemy, and we never learn anything about Lost Hex. We never learn anything about what a Zeti is or their relation to this world. We are invaders to their homeland. The bad guys by the end of it, and it doesn't. When you compare that to what Sonic 3 and Knuckles did without spoken word, and what they did for Knuckles, and what they did for Angel Island, and for the overall world building that they did in that game, I mean, the Master Emerald is still around, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
Like,
I would absolutely say that as far as like modern Sonic stories go, the one that has like the closest resemblance to like Sonic 3 and Knuckles is Sonic Adventure 1. Like that feels like a spiritual successor. Like what if this game had spoken words in it and stuff? Like that's
well,
kind of
that
how I see it.
yeah, that game's Sonic 4 to me because it's just still continuing to evolve.
What an
It's continuing
insult.
to grow.
Oh.
I mean, I have a video plan talking about every time that phrase has been used for a Sonic game. But
Yeah.
again, just Sonic Lost World specifically, I compare it to Sonic 3 Knuckles because what Sonic 3 Knuckles did was they expanded what we knew about Sonic's world in general. And it forever changed the landscape for the satellite media. And obviously the Ken Pender stuff we don't have to talk about here. Which but I mean it really it brought a little bit more life to this world. It does make it a little bit smaller in that sense because we know a little bit more about the comings and goings of this place. But Lost World failed to do that in a spectacular fashion just because it couldn't commit to really doing anything interesting with it. But it still kept Zavik around like they kept Knuckles around when nobody wanted him around.
I think
The thing with Zavok is he's also so obviously Sonic's Bowser, like in terms of his design and everything. Like we don't need
Yeah.
that.
But I keep discovering for myself every time I read the IDW comic books, there's a good character there, and I think Lost World could have been a better game, and Lost Hex could have been a much more interesting landscape if they had just gone the extra mile. Because I think Sonic 3, I think it really did give us all those lessons way back in the day, more than even what Sonic 1 and 2 did.
I think it says something as well that when it comes to Angel Island, anytime we go back for any amount of time, there's always something like new we're discovering about the place. Like in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, that was our first time stepping onto Angel Island and exploring its environment. By the time we get to Sonic Adventure, we still have questions about where the island begins and ends in that particular game because it's not really very clear. But when you look at something like when you compare it to something like Lost Hex, I think it says something that even the IDW comics still haven't explored Lost Hex. They just don't care to. The actual like characters of the Deadly Six are more interesting than the location. The location
I feel
has
like
nothing.
there was an example of the game and the story not being very well intertwined. They needed a gimmick for this new world and this new gameplay style, so they came up with the Lost Hex. It's like gameplay
Yeah.
first, concept later, basically.
Whereas
And
with
I'm fine with that. I'm usually fine with that. But like, if you're gonna go out of your way to make a script, do make a little bit of a better effort here, guys.
Well, because like if you look at if you just look at the way that levels are set up in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you start out in Angel Island zone, and then you go down into what might as well be the sewer system of that world,
Right.
and then you find a carnival there which you don't we've never still gotten like a full explanation why Carnival Night Zone exists. But then we go to Ice Cap Zone, and these are all naturalistic environments that feel like they're places that we could reasonably be. Then we find ourselves in the places where Eggman's encroached on it. We find ourselves in Launch Base, and then we go back to nature in Mushroom Hill, bouncing, and then we start bouncing back and forth between like Eggman locations and naturalistic locations. But when you compare that to what's in Lost World, Lost World's very much like, okay, so we have to have the ice level, we have to have the desert level, we have to have the Mario checklist. Angel Island didn't really concern itself with that in the same way. It still had those thematic levels, but they felt like they were almost like when you're playing Breath of the Wild and it feels like everything's a natural extension of the landscape. It feels a lot more like everything's cohesive in Sonic 3 and Knuckles compared to something like Lost World, which we all could kind of agree. Lost World was trying to do the same thing.
In many ways, though, that really amazing cohesion between like the levels in Sonic 3 and Knuckles is why I would also rank that game to be higher than Sonic Mania as well. Like Sonic Mania is very much level to level. Sonic 3 and Knuckles, there is such a storytelling cohesion between these different locations and everything, and it's admirable. I don't hold it against Sonic Mania that it didn't manage to recapture that, of course, but like, you know, that's what I think makes Sonic 3 and Knuckles the best of the classics, is that, you know, it has that, you know.
Well, not to mention that's like I'm sorry, Nick, go on.
Well, no, I mean, just in terms of Mania, I mean, we get those comparisons all the time, which is better between the two of them. I don't think it really matters. I don't really think Mania was trying to usurp Sonic 3 and Knuckles as like the best of the classics.
Oh, of course, it's a conversation that comes up, is like, what's the best Sonic game? What's the best classic Sonic game? And Mania and 3 and Knuckles tend to be two common answers, and it's like, how would I choose? You know, like
I get that, but like again, I don't really consider the game. I consider it classic styled game that came out 25 years after this talking about. It's not a fair comparison.
It stands on the shoulders of giants by comparison.
I will say though, like in terms of that old school gameplay, what I like about Mania is like it just reminded the world this streamlined play style still works. It's still good. Shut up, you baby critics. It's still fine. Don't worry about classic Sonic.
Well, what are you talking about, Nick? Sonic was never good.
Right. Anyway, but I would say that those guys have the capabilities to make like the greatest of that style Sonic game if Sega would let them off the leash there. But
no, Nick, it has to have Chemical Plant and Green Hill Zone again.
Release the Whitehead Cup.
I never want to see either of those two levels again.
Ever.
Especially Chemical Plant.
I can't wait to play Sonic Origins where we get to play through Chemical Plant again.
Yeah,
I want it next week. I want to talk about what we want from Sonic Origins. I keep thinking about that. Let's
a new game.
What do I want from Sonic Origins? I want Sonic Frontiers.
That's basically it, you know.
And I want it without that really awkward standing half on the ring shitty promotional image.
Just
please,
honestly, rename the game to Sonic Mega Collection plus Divide minus fucking Pi.
There's something about that render that they released that just doesn't strike well with me. It's so awkward where he's just like sitting there with his hand like just kind of like towards the ring, where he's just like, hey, come on, get in, kids, I've got candy.
Oh my god.
It felt very, we superimposed Sonic on here without thinking about any of the implications. And I know that like that ring, it's supposed to make you feel like the teleporter rings in the Mania
and yet
animations.
Sonic is like standing in front of it like a sticker that's been placed on it.
It feels like you're messing with the sticker collection in freaking Smash Brothers, like your Spirits collection, and you just made this in the Super Smash Brothers Spirits collection, and you're just like, look, I did it.
I did like Sonic Shuffle. Now get ready for Sonic stickers.
It's like what I said in
topic, but go ahead, Wayne. First, go ahead.
It was like what I said in our group chat. It was like it looked like it was put together by whoever does the posters for Spider-Man at Sony.
Also, a giant ring behind him. I'm just saying, all you got to do is put Sonic in the Iron Sonic outfit, and then we're
Oh, we
there.
need Green Goblin in there.
we need a tiny little Dr. Eggman in the back. A tiny little Dr. Eggman.
A very small one, and it needs to be Jim Carrey's Eggman, specifically.
God, I lost my point there. I mean, I know back to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I did notice. I've been a little concerned about this because they did the Project Sonic 22 thing, which I thought was weird because the only other time we've done Project Sonic was when the Saturn games were coming about.
It's not true. That's not true at all. Like
Project Sonic?
Yeah, when the
With the
Sonic
silhouette?
Forces not that, but like when the Sonic Forces trailer first dropped, it was referred to as Project Sonic 2017, and then generations before the title was revealed was Project Sonic 2011. I think.
Fine,
I'm just
whatever.
gonna take your word for it. I don't fucking remember.
My point is the time they're calling back to a very specific silhouette, like the one that's on my Sega Saturn, my Japanese Sega Saturn right now. They use that to promote the Sonic projects for the Sega Saturn. And I'm like, why that one specifically? It's a little concerning. It's fine. I love Saturn Sonic. It's a little concerning.
It was funny just kind of seeing like the comment section when Sega revealed that, because it was about what you'd expect from the Sonic community. A lot of infighting.
What do you talking about? No, the Sonic community never infight. We've never had issues between
Boys, it's time to get back to Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
I agree.
Shit, you're right.
but I want the Sonic community to fight about which one's better, Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles.
Okay. So, anyways, shall we?
Angel Island.
Well, hold
Let's
on.
just
Before
go,
we
baby.
get there, I want to address one thing I love about Sonic 3, and that is the balls it has to make every single level have some water in it after the reception of previous water levels.
I think they're actually integrated really well.
I
Like,
agree.
yeah.
I 100% agree.
Especially
Also-
since we get the bubble shield in this one, and I'm not gonna lie, being able to say screw all spike hazards in bubble shield feels great.
Oh, it is good. It is good. By the way, has anyone
Spike
been logging the super chat? Because
Well,
I've just been playing Sonic
Spike
3.
Hazard.
It's not that. It's not the spike hazard. It's the little ball things that those little cannons shoot at you.
Are you talking about projectiles? Yeah, projectiles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
So
like-
wait, was it? I thought that is it the
I don't
electric
think-
shield
no.
that avoids spikes?
No, none of them avoid spikes. Are you
No,
saying a
there's-
bubble avoids? a
There are
pinprick?
To
some
be fair, a bubble
no,
should also not avoid a projectile.
there are
okay?
some
Like,
spikes that are just bouncy.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. That's
that's in
just
Marble
an
Garden,
enemy.
isn't it? Like-
yeah, that's just
Yeah.
a bad nick.
Yeah. So any fucking way, Angel
bad,
Island.
bad
I think Angel Island really kind of brought us a new paradigm in like Sonic storytelling. I just also want to quickly note, shout out to Sonic 3 for being a fucking game cartridge with a save system in it. But like Angel Island definitely introduced more storytelling aspects, like the way the big bad Nick fucker comes down and sets the place ablaze, and then you've got like an inferno you're running through. I think one of my absolute favorite things about it is after you get past that airship and you see Dr. Eggman off in the distance and these sirens start blazing. It's like, oh, you're familiar with this guy and he's a threat. You know, he's not just coming in with a little wrecking ball like, I'm going to destroy the place. No. He's
He comes in
The-
with a bomber.
we're all worried about this guy. He's got an airship now. He's become a big time villain, Doctor.
Remember, he could carpet bomb that hedgehog whenever he wants. That's not the
shit.
point, Starline.
He really should just get a Glock and just stick a bullet in Sonic's head at this point. Like,
And
can he
he's
recover
tried
from
that in IDW too.
Oh, God.
Eggman has literally just pulled out a Glock in
Did it have,
IDW.
Was it like a normal gun or was it like lasers?
It,
or
it
some
looked
shit?
like a normal ass gun. I mean, they did like draw like a laser, but it looks like a normal ass handgun.
Yep.
That he
I would
just
hope-
pulls out as
I would
a
hope
last
that he would-
resort. It was
I would hope he would
wild.
just have like special egg-shaped bullets.
They need to be proper, but he just needs a normal gun and to just shoot Sonic upside his head.
I mean, he pulled a gun on Amy.
It
Yeah,
was a
dude.
laser.
The pistol in Sonic Adventure 2?
We never saw it shoot anything. It could have.
No, but that was the best part. There was the implication that it was just a normalized gun.
But why is he pulling it on Amy and not Sonic himself?
Because he was using it as leverage at that point.
Angel
Sonic-
Island. Jesus Christ, boy.
We don't want to talk about Sonic 3. We want to talk about Sonic Adventure 2. I'm just,
Jesus Christ.
I'm fucking with you, Nick. It's honest to God, it's a fucking. As much as I joke about Sonic 3 and Knuckles is an objectively shit game and stuff, I only do that to get under your skin because
I mean, it doesn't work. It just.
it works. It works.
I mean, if you legitimately believe that, be like, well, you have bad taste, then, don't you? I don't
No.
know.
It works. Like I got my reasons, man.
Uh-huh.
Like God
Oh, don't
So-
worry. We
Nick,
believe you.
Angel Island.
does not work on any level, honestly.
Oh my god.
I still remember the very first time I saw Angel Island in motion. It blew me the fuck away. I know people talk about, and I still see where Sonic 3. Or Sonic CD. I'll be blunt with you guys. Like every review talks about like the enhanced color palette. I didn't really see that as a kid. It looked muted. It looked.
Honestly, it looked better with the more muted colors. I'm gonna just straight up fucking put that out there.
It didn't. I don't know. I just didn't see it as a kid. I mean, I'd already played Sonic 2 at that point, and I felt like they had used what the Genesis already had to a much better degree. And then Sonic 3 came around. I was like, well, just blew it right the fuck out of the water. Like, I mean, yeah, if we had a choppy FMV and we had the Red Book audio, all great and cool and all, but like, holy cannoli. Wow, that game was beautiful for back in the day. And, yeah, like, it's still, like, one of my favorite, like, Green Hill Zone, the first time I saw that, was just like an eye catcher. Like, you just could not help but look at that thing compared to everything else on the market. And Sonic 3 did that again with Angel Island. My only problem with it is, like, I think they bring in the firebombing a little too soon. I would have waited till the start of Act 2 to set the place on fire, just so we could spend a little bit more time in that cozy,
In the lush
tropical,
green area?
relaxing. Yeah. I like the idea overall, though, because I really do feel like it just, like, it represents, like,
Well, they
things are not going to be different. Things are going to be different from what you've dealt with before in previous games.
Well, don't worry. They spend more time in Angel Island normally in the IDW anyway.
No, not really.
No.
No, I'm fucking with you. It's about how IDW fixes everything.
Oh God, fair enough.
Jesus Christ. There is one thing that I do like that on the back half, when we start playing Sonic and Knuckles content, I do like that we get to spend a lot more time in Mushroom Hill, experiencing those really lush green areas. It's not the same as the tropical island motif from the beginning, but it definitely feels good to sit in that greenery for a longer time the second time through.
Weed Hill Zone.
Beautiful. I swear to God.
Oh, they should do that actually.
Okay, but like, what kind of weed are we talking about here?
You know what kind of weed I'm talking about.
Fair enough.
The kind
Why do
that
you think
cures
Dr.
the
Eggman? Why do you think Dr. Eggman's always wearing those shades? You know, he's trying to hide something.
the kind
He
of
takes them off, his
weed
eyes are just pink. You know,
that cures zombie viruses in Raccoon City. Got it.
I smoked weed once and now I'm bad and evil and I want to turn animals into robots.
I am surprised how often they use gimmicks only one time in this game, like that hollowed out tree
Mm-hmm.
that we all have to run through to get to the blowing up stuff there. They don't really do anything like that again. I mean, you have some cylindrical stuff down the road, but not that tree. Like, you only see that tree that one time. The waterfall, you deal with one time.
They
I don't know,
definitely
yeah,
show a
it's like
lot of
kinda
restraint with
gimmicks.
that kind of stuff.
Or they just had that many ideas to just throw out into the world. I don't know.
I mean, I will say this: I like experiencing those level gimmicks once, and then not experiencing them in any major capacity again later, because it makes it to where each level has its own very functional identity, and it's not having to ape stuff from other previous levels.
but it's not in like a stupid fucking way, like Sonic 4 Episode 1, for example, where every level is like,
This one you push a rock. This one is a maze. This one has zip wires. It's an original game, guys. It's not a rehash.
It's definitely not a rehash. It's definitely the true definitive
This-
Sonic 4.
Did Did Green Hill Zone have zip lines in it? Because this one does. It's better.
Sonic
So
2 had zip lines, didn't it?
I mean, the only other thing that really like stood out to me was like the boss fight there. Just like the chrome finish for Robotnik's machine was awesome. I thought he looked really cool. Like the bombing leading up to that point, like the alarms blaring through is like building up the intensity of meeting up with your old rival again, and the boss fight itself. And something you brought up earlier, Cirrus, then I told you to wait for the fucking show was this obnoxious little. I forgot about this because it's killed me a couple times as a kid. Where if you don't time it correctly, he will splash into the waterfall and send you launching into your own death.
He can, or you could just the other thing that could happen is you could have the entire boss fight ruined for you by just playing as Sonic and Tails, jumping up at him in the beginning, and then Tails just gets locked in his model and does all the damage required to kill him before he ever goes in the waterfall once.
That's the problem with playing Tails in general, I feel.
Like you just have Tails. You're just like, okay, I want him here because he's my best bud. He's gonna be cool. He's gonna be great. He offers nothing in this game except pain having him with me. But you know what? It's fine. He's along for the ride. Oh, he just one shot the boss. Huh.
What about the boss where he's carrying you to the Marble Hill boss?
Well,
Or
that
the
is-
Marble-
We'll
to
get
that.
to. Yeah, I got stuff to say about that thing.
But like,
I will say this for the specials though. I do like that he doesn't get in your fucking way this time.
oh, because he would both take rings and give them away in Sonic.
Wait, but
2.
didn't Gilly have a good point about Tails though in the Sonic
No, he
2?
didn't have a good point because they raise the ring count if you have Sonic and Tails with you. So it's a moot point regardless. It is harder even if he loses his own rings. It is no, that argument does not stand. I'm sorry. I've argued with this
I was trying
specifically
to
about this.
I was trying to replay the Sonic 2 just the other day, and man, I'm sorry. The special stages in Sonic 2 are just bad.
I mean, their
they were cool
entire
for the
purpose.
day,
Yeah,
but-
the entire purpose
Yeah.
was for them to
Well,
go.
it was a
Sonic
tech demo,
3D.
but it wasn't fun.
So are we now just talking about the special stages? Is that like the next part?
We're just talking about
Yeah.
No, I'm not being-
Blue
I'm not being
Yes.
sarcastic. I'm
It's-
trying to keep us to a structure here.
No, I got you.
get it.
It's
I get you. There's too much to talk about. We're barely
there's a
in here.
lot.
And we got things to do today, boys.
And please tell me someone is jotting down the super chats because I just started playing Sonic 3 for a bit and got kind of a bit absorbed into it, and I haven't been logging the super chats.
Uh-oh.
I don't think
one
they're-
of you
I've been-
guys
I've been
surely
trying to-
could pull your weight. Come on.
I was already playing Sonic 3
I
before
don't
we
think there's
started.
been one
Thank you
since
very
AKA Shonen, so I think we're okay.
All right, anyone
No,
that's
we
super
got one or
chatted,
two.
just
We got one or two. Give me one.
super
give me a
chat
sec.
again, and then
And
we'll.
I like. Oh my god. I like how y'all. I like how you just get on my case for
We-
playing
we
Sonic
only
3
missed-
before the show.
Yeah, I know.
And now
okay?
We
Here
only
you
missed
are.
one. We only
I
missed
wasn't
one.
doing it for research purposes. I was doing it for fun. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Hey,
Yeah,
Uncle
don't
Wayne
worry.
is here. I got it fixed. We only missed one, and I got it logged. We're good.
Did you say
Jesus.
Uncle Aiden?
He said
Uncle
Uncle
Wayne.
Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Uncle
You-
Wallace.
Who's Uncle
Anus.
Aiden? Yeah, no, I didn't say anus. I said Aiden.
We definitely need to plan out these.
Get your mind out of your
retrospectives
anus,
a little
Wayne.
bit better going forward.
I
Yeah,
did
let's-
think about
let's
making
talk
an
about-
Excel document with like a structure in it, but I was like, nah.
Let's do that next time.
We're
I think
mature
we-
men. We can be trusted.
No,
I
we
thought
can't.
that too. But like, yeah, this is a very big game, and we've gotten through.
We need a
Wonderful.
moderator. We need someone to moderate us. Like,
I think we should talk about special stages.
Yeah, let's talk about special stages.
I like Blue Sphere, Red Sphere. It's a fun little game in of itself. Like, if you factor in that, if you add that to any invalid cartridge, like Sonic and Knuckles, to anything that's invalid, you get a whole game of Red Sphere, Blue Sphere, and it's legitimately not bad. Like, you know, it's
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I especially like it in the Steam version where you have a rewind button.
That rewind button helps a lot with those.
It
Not
does
gonna
help a
lie.
lot. If you're just trying to like play through and get shit done.
Smacko,
Yeah.
change your profile pic.
Oh my god.
But I will say it's not just the Blue Sphere Red Sphere, because I think that it's a much better constructed, much better paced type of game than what you get with the half pipes in Sonic 2. But it's also the fact that there's another type of bonus stage in this game, or actually more than one if you have lock on, that can give you like continues and extra lives and stuff if you're going past goalposts. And I like having those extra. I like having all that extra stuff on it as well, because it breaks up the pace of the main game. I know that it's a classic Sonic game. You don't really need to break up the pace there, but the combination of having extra lives and extra continues put behind one bonus stage. And we just lost Nick.
Oh god.
We just lost Nick.
He just went to the special stage as well.
Yeah, he's gone to the special stage.
He will return with treasure.
Will he? No, he's not going to bring any treasure. He's going to bring a couple of new continues, which, like, I guess is technically pseudo immortality.
So in the meantime, shall we just talk about things that Nick isn't interested in?
Ah, Sonic Adventure 2. Got it.
Women.
Oh my god.
Aw.
He's married.
I know. I'm just fucking around.
Smecco needs to be a hexagon now. Oh
I
my
just
God.
implied that this man is gay. What a roast.
Jesus Christ. I wonder where he's gone.
Up.
Yeah, he's certainly gone. He's certainly dead. Nick got blue balled. Has Nick died real? Yeah, he's dead.
He's got to go do another mukbang. It's fine. Nick is short for Nikocado Avocado.
Oh no. Oh no. Let's not. Let's not with that one.
I like Spider-Man.
His internet is
Here
just
we go.
gone.
He's back.
Yeah. It comes for us all, Nick. It comes for us all.
He's on his
Do you
phone
have,
now. I think.
Do you have the emerald?
Oh shit.
Nope.
Hang on.
His internet's
Oh,
just gone.
This is what happens when you smoke weed.
I'm
kid.
here. I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I mean,
It's your bad mic.
we can. No, it's not that it's his bad mic.
No,
it's that
he's
it's
on
his
his phone, Wallace.
Oh.
Show a little fucking understanding, dude.
I'm gonna try my actual phone, see if it sounds better. Hang on.
It will. It will. Nick has been sent to hell where he'll play Sonic Genesis for all eternity. Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
dude.
Wallace, you keep on top of that, man. That's all good. Oh, for fuck's sake! One of us.
I'll
has to
do it.
pick
I'll
who-
do it. I'll do it. I'll do
Okay,
it.
okay.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
Nick, you good?
No, I'm never good. Oh my god! Like it's still connected to my headset. Like fuck off.
We love you, Nick.
Do I sound decent enough to be on the show?
Yeah, you can
sound-
understand what you're saying.
You sound
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you sound like you're the call-in guest. And not a
You're-
All right,
host.
so Nick, what is your question for us here at Sunset City?
Why you all fuck up so bad?
Oh, that's because none of us are very well educated. Thank you for
That's
calling in. You are not the winner of the Toyota Prius today, but it's been great speaking to you, and we'll send you a goodie bag in the post.
All right, I'm gonna put the phone up to my head now and see if it sounds fine if I'm actually on a phone call. How does it sound now?
Yeah, it
mean,
sounds like we're talking to you on a
You
phone.
still
but,
sound like you're zooming in with the Italian Senate, just with a little less Tifa Lockhart.
Wicked
Yeah, I'm sorry,
funny
guys. I have
brain.
no idea what happened to my internet, but it just stopped completely.
well,
Nah,
Remember,
mine does
guys,
that.
this is a side effect of watching anime.
when you this is what happens when you watch Food Wars, Nick. This is the end
Can we-
result of that.
I have watched Food Wars. I've watched all of it.
I haven't seen Food Wars. What is that like a?
It's
is
an
it-
anime.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a shonen anime about cooking. It is
I thought it was
hilarious.
going to be like one of those history.
I like the
channel
redhead.
shows or something like. I thought it was going to be like.
Oh,
Man
shit, hang
versus
on.
Food.
Oh, is it back?
Hey, can
Eh?
you guys take me to the Heart Attack Grill in Las Vegas?
I mean, do you know
No.
how far away Las Vegas is compared to us?
Yeah, but it's all in the same country. Relax.
That's not how things work in the U.S.
Don't be a pussy, dude.
Do you understand how large Alaska is on its own?
Look, we're gonna do a cross-country road trip, are we not? So let's go to Vegas. Let's go to the Heart Attack Grill and get a feed.
Oh my god.
What are we talking about?
I want to go to the Heart Attack Grill.
Hi, Nick. Welcome back.
Hey, so where are we at with the video game?
We
we're
were
talking about
to Las
special
Vegas
stages.
to go
Yeah,
to the
we-
Heart Attack Grill.
No, we were talking about special stages. Shut the fuck up, Bob.
Yeah, I
My
do like
bucket
how they're.
list. Make
I
a
think I
true
like how
friend.
they're integrated with the main play here more than any other game. Like the giant rings that are just kind of hanging out, and we mentioned this earlier. But it really adds to that exploration element of the game and just kind of like where the game's priorities are and everything like that.
You
I
also
like it-
don't have that prerequisite of 50 rings, which is nice.
Yeah, that's for the other bonus stage that you can just kind of do with or without.
Yep. And I like having that other bonus stage for a couple of reasons. One, I like being able to get my continues through that. It's very helpful. Two, I like the fact that when you're done with that bonus stage, unlike Sonic 2, you don't just pop out with none of your rings at the end.
Oh yeah,
They actually did. They
yeah.
did fix that though. Strangely enough, because the Sonic or the Knuckles and Sonic 2 ROM that's included. I mean, when you do the lock on there,
Yeah.
that does keep your rings afterwards. So they did
That
go
lock-on thing
actually
is so
improve
cool.
stuff.
Oh, did they patch the game via
Via lock-on tech?
Sonic and
Well,
Knuckles?
they when you have Knuckles in there, because they understand that Knuckles can get to some specific spots. That word is harder than you realize. Like there'll be new item monitors, and yeah, you'll have your rings after you're done with special stages.
I
Stuff
just
like that.
found this Sonic poster and it says, Welco me tot he next level. Huh.
What?
This can't be in English. It's
I
got to be
just
like
got
a
it.
Japanese
I just got
translation or
it.
something.
The welcome to the next level box, yeah.
But it says Welco me tot he next level.
Unfinite.
Yee.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna fuck you, Wayne.
Well,
So right,
whoa.
let's talk
We
about
waited-
Hydro City.
But yeah, we've waited so long to do this episode, and it's just been a clusterfuck.
I think we've just all
Welcome to Sunset
gone
City.
fucking insane.
Yeah,
Look.
that's fine.
Let's just get on with it. Hydro City. In my opinion,
Oh, we're
This
not
is-
going through every level. We will not have the time.
yes,
I don't
yes,
think
we are.
do.
Okay, what if we do, but we do it quite quick? Okay, we go around the table, get our quick thoughts out. We don't turn it into this big tangent thing. Okay, so serious, keep your trap shut. All right, so
Wow.
Hydro City, best
Wow.
classic Sonic level, perfect blend of platforming and speed. I love the little water slides and stuff. Great level, great time, great music. Yeah, there we go. Fucking Nick, you're up.
This sounds like a super fun podcast for the next couple hours.
It's really gonna be a lot
No.
of fun.
I
Don't
don't.
worry.
I just.
You don't.
Just
what?
calm down. Calm down. It's gonna be fine.
I'm getting very upset. Okay.
A couple things I actually want to talk about with Hydrocity. I can't. That's the first part of it. I can't help but say Hydrocity. I understand Hydro City. It makes more sense. It's been in more official canon stuff, but they still haven't like flat out gone out of their way to officially say no. It's pronounced Hydro City.
I think they never should. They should just keep that conversation going.
I
If
think
they
that's a
ever,
good
like-
idea, yeah.
If they're ever saying it in like dialogue or something, and someone needs to like start with Hydro, and then like they get cut off with another
Yeah, like a truck
another
just
call or
goes
something.
past. Even though
Yeah.
they're not in anywhere where a truck would be, it just goes past.
I
They
just
can literally
I
be
think it'd
indoors.
No, I really like. I want to do like a little comic, just like I want to have Sonic and Knuckles debate it. I think that would be hilarious with Sonic saying, "Well, no, velocity, hydrocity." It's like, dude, this is my island. And
I
it's like,
can't-
okay, so you have somebody here telling you what that says because it says hydrocity.
I can't wait for Sonic comic to officially have Knuckles say, "What the fuck is a Hydrocity?"
I would love it if they did it like IDW, where there is no spoken word. It's just there in the dialogue, and we still never know, and it's never addressed. Oh God!
And then
Or they're
that
just
would
going
get,
back and forth, and it's spelled the exact same way, and we can't tell how they're pronouncing it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
and then we'll get the Adrenaline Dubs version of that issue, and we'll still have nothing clear.
But then we'll have the argument of which one is saying which version as well.
Yep.
So just literally layer it up, Make it.
Exactly.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that.
I'm just repeating points I've said before. I was more interested to hear what you guys had to say about this game more than myself. Because
Well,
I've
I'm
said
not
that
allowed to
1,000
say
times.
anything.
You're gonna be fine, sirs, for God's sakes. Um, the just the balls on these guys, the red and blue balls on these guys, to just say, fuck it. We know you don't like the water. We're going to make one of the best levels of the series that is themed entirely around water. And if we're going to have Mania comparisons, this is where they drop the ball because the original version is way better than the Mania version, as far as I'm concerned.
I think there's a lot of fun set motifs that are here in the original version. That like anytime I think back, I think of the poles that you get cracked whenever you're going through the waterways. I think of the areas where you get like grabbed by those hands, and they just like increase your velocity while they're holding you in place.
Yeah, like it's weird to say this probably, but there's this kind of sense that Sonic 3 and Knuckles has where it's like the levels themselves are kind of written in a cinematic way, where everything that happens is basically what it almost feels like they were creating these as if they were going to be in a cartoon, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that those Sonic shorts comics always translated really well when it came to these areas, because and I think that's also one of the reasons, like when you mentioned that they don't use the gimmicks for the levels as often as as often as other games would. They just they use them once, you see it, you remember it, and then they get to the next thing. I think them operating this way, I think that makes it feel really cinematic when you go through these levels, that those set pieces are there and you're like, oh, I remember when the level did this. And it's not like a thing that's being repeated ad nauseum. It's a thing that like you remember it fondly. And when you go through and you play through the game again, you remember it again. And it's not like you're not constantly being bombarded with the same thing.
Yeah. I think if I had to choose a level which gimmick just kind of drives me crazy. I'm not that crazy about Marble
Garden.
Shall we have that segue into a Marble Garden discussion then?
Let's
well, that's what I was trying to do.
Okay, great. Good job, Wayne. So well
did
done,
it.
man. You well done. You justified yourself.
Oh my God.
Right, so Marble Garden is a zone I remember hating as a kid, but I must admit, upon replay now, I think it's even Stevens because it's got lots of slopes, which is really fun to just, spin down and everything. I think as a kid, what I hated was when the level starts like collapsing on itself, but at the same time, I had no trouble with that today when I was playing it during the podcast earlier. The spinny top things are fine if a little overused. And the boss gives me anxiety, but it's actually not that bad. But like literally, you're just dangling over this thing, thinking, "Oh God, bottomless pit, I'm gonna die." And it's like, "Oh no, Tails got me. That's nice."
You can also take off like 70% of his health before that fight takes place.
That's true.
Yeah, you can. That's another thing I like about Sonic 3 is it doesn't really force your hand to do anything a specific way. Like, you can still have the option of taking off a little bit of its health. And I hope they don't do that thing in like, the remaster or whatever it's fucking Origins, where it's like, okay, now he's locked, so you can't hit him while he's in this state. I like having that versatility.
I like it as well because it feels like it adds a lot of agency to the player. Like if you can just squeeze in some hits before it comes to the final fight, then you actually have that extra power there on your side. I think stripping that away from the player is not a good idea.
I think though.
I think it's the dumbest shit in the world. I think it takes away from the entire set piece. I think it's I'm completely against you guys on this one.
Well, I like to think that like Sonic has, can think on his feet and get jump in and first and get some extra hits in and stuff. Like it feels more like you have a little control over the player, like it feels more what's the word? More kind of like you are Sonic if you have the extra option to hit Robotnik a little bit before the boss actually properly starts.
I get that. I definitely get that. It does kind of fly in the face of later on when you're chasing him down into his mech, or even back in Sonic 2 though, because the game is very picky and choosy about times when it would make sense for Sonic to just blap something out of existence So it would make sense for him to just attack Robotnik while he's there. It doesn't make sense for him to just stand there and watch Knuckles giggle while he jumps onto a switch that turns off.
We're getting
all
into
the
kind
lights.
of almost EFAP territory though with some
Also,
of these
why does-
criticisms.
I don't understand lyrics that would come later in life when, in fact, during the course of this game, we almost exclusively see Knuckles chuckle.
Yeah,
So I think that the thing that they're trying to establish with that is that Knuckles has a face that he puts forward for everything, and it's not really what's going on there. Because remember, he's scared shitless in Aquatic Mine and Pumpkin Hill in Sonic Adventure 2, but like the lyrics of his songs are all like, no, I'm not afraid.
Well, no, I like to think that that is very much like, because like if you take the rap lyrics in Sonic Adventure 2 and like look at how Knuckles actually behaves, he's so placid, whereas like in the rap lyrics he's like, oh yeah, I'm a tough guy and everything. I like to think that's the stuff that's playing in his head.
I like to
Knuckles
think
is
he's
tough
just
softy.
canonically like singing to himself throughout the levels.
He's like, oh yeah,
Fair.
Rouge,
I'll
she's
get you
sexy
that.
and
I like
smooth.
that.
But he's actually
Yeah.
really shy around girls
I-
anyway, according to Sonic Jam.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys have ever seen the Venture Brothers, but there's an episode where like there's this one henchman character that's just like he's making music for himself while he's like getting in his bad guy uniform. He's like da 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 da, and I want to imagine that's what Knuckles is doing.
I think that is exactly
I
what
love
he's
that
doing.
scene. God damn, I love that scene. Yeah, I know exactly. what you're
So
talking about.
yeah, like I think, you know, Knuckles was a great addition to the game. I think it is important that we do talk a little bit about Knuckles, at least for this game, because it was like his big debut and everything. And I think, you know, he made an impression in this.
I think this game did one thing that some Sonic stories have really fucked up with his character. It's very obvious he's gullible because Eggman did trick him into going against Sonic, but it's also very obvious as you play through this game that he is a very clever individual when it comes to like the environment on his island. When it
Are
comes
you
to
sure about that? Because the amount of times he gets toppled off of things.
but when you're going through the environment, he is always one step ahead of you for the most part.
clever boy.
But
Like,
I
he-
put that down to his ability to borrow. Like,
I mean, I put it
Well,
down
then
to him
this
having
this is his own curve.
like I put it down to him knowing this island inside and out and using that environment to his advantage.
I feel like there's definitely a bit of cheese brain Knuckles though in this, especially like in Launch Base, where he's just standing on this very thin pole and punches fucking Sonic in the Eggmobile and then falls off to his watery pseudo demise.
That wasn't really. I mean, I don't know if he really expected the Death Egg to just start launching off like that, though. You know,
But
like,
he's not you can't be the brightest knuckle in the glove if you're going to be, you know, doing that.
But does he at
he
that
did
point
bomb
though?
the building before that point. I don't know if Knuckles really is like fully realized as a character throughout this game, because he's doing stuff I don't know if I'd fully expect his character to be doing, just like blowing up a building or being cool with Eggman, even being there when, you know, like he set his fucking island on fire. It's just
He
it's a little back and forth, you know.
he might not
Like,
need Sonic's power, but he could use a little bit more of his brains.
I like Knuckles though in Sonic 3. He's got like even when like especially if you're playing as him, his just basic idle sort of thing, just standing there and stuff.
So
He's got a little gormless look on his face. He almost kind of looks like he's like, "Yes, I am awake. It is time to do my morning routine."
so when you're
Like,
when you're playing as Knuckles on his part of the story though, you don't fight Eggman in a lot of those fights. They're replaced with robots. It's
Yeah, because he's being
They're all
tribal bullied.
supposed to be. The only time you fight against Robotnik, it's a glitch. It's an error. It's not supposed to be in
yeah.
there.
So it's supposed to always be the robots every single time you're fighting them. It makes sense that like from his perspective, if he has no prior idea of who Sonic is, who Eggman is, who any of these people are, it would make sense from his perspective that Eggman could convince him, actually, no, Sonic firebombed the island looking for the emerald. We have to keep it safe, good buddy.
So
I
Eggman is basically
that's-
Jameis him.
Well, no, that's what I originally thought growing up as a kid. That's not what's happening. This happens after the Sonic story. All of it happens after Sonic's story, and they tell that to you through the environment. The Death Egg is gone when you go through those environments. The background of Angel Island is you see water for Angel Island when you're playing Sonic, you see the sky for Knuckles. It's back in the sky when you're
See, that's
playing
good
through it.
design right there. Like,
Yeah. It takes place afterwards, and I did not know that until the Sonic community and Twitter and everybody pointed some spots out for me, because I was always kind of like on the fence as I was growing up. I was like, because I went with that perspective for years as a kid, like, oh, he's hiding behind his own mechs, even though the Death Egg has his face on it and these robots look like him. But no, it's yeah.
So it's that physically Eggman is further ahead than you because he's dealing with Sonic and you are dealing with the leftovers.
so
You're-
No,
Do you
like,
wanna-
you're doing cleanup because you have already dealt with Eggman. Like it's kind of Mecha Sonic's doing at that point in the robots.
so
Eggman's not
Knuckles'
involved in
story is
that story.
effectively Sonic 4, basically.
Basically, it's Sonic 3.5.
Do we
What
also
I've-
want to talk a little about? Sorry, go on.
I think we just kind of have to accept, like with any video game, sometimes we just have to accept that it's just being a video game, and we don't need a narrative reason for every little single thing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
You know,
I
that's kind of how that goes.
I was thinking though, just that like sorry, this is getting a little off track here, but because we're adapting Knuckles for the films, I like to think because of what we saw in the first movie, there's kind of a little bit of a history there, specifically like with the hedgehogs, and the echidnas. And that's like why they're hunting him down and everything, which might kind of lend into why Knuckles is so easily manipulated into thinking Sonic is evil.
Maybe Knuckles just
that
needed
was
an
my
excuse.
headcanon. My headcanon was, and I didn't think about this until I was writing the scripts for those videos, was Mecha Sonic being there is why. That I would use that in a story if I was gonna be adapting that into a comic book. I would use Mecha Sonic
Yeah.
from the distance, being like, "No, this fucker is a danger to you and your island." And the fact that he can go super, again, just emphasizes that. I don't know if like Iggy would have access to superpowers. prior to
Maybe
that.
Knuckles mistakes Mecha Sonic for Sonic, and that's why he's after Sonic.
That's exactly what I was just saying, Bob.
Speaking
Yeah,
of mistaking things, okay, so one of my favorite things about the special stages is second half of the game you're purifying the Chaos Emeralds into Master Emeralds, right?
Super Emeralds. But
S-
yes.
s- Shit.
I'm sorry.
Super Emeralds.
Why did I read
No, but like there's that whole mural that's in there of like
Eggman
oh no,
Sonic.
wait. I'm sorry. I feel like I just had a stroke. I'm mixing up like 3 different games. I'm thinking of the mural from Sonic Adventure. This has nothing to do with what I'm
I
talking
want to
about.
point out something quick. Lederick is using the picture that he won, the NFT.
Perfect.
awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
did it.
No, we lost.
Now we just got to get rid of Smacko, and then we.
He does bring up a good point, though. It would be cool if we got some hedgehog lore to go with our echidna lore. We don't have a lot of actual
Yeah.
hedgehog lore in Sonic's world.
No, we
It is-
don't.
it is funny. Because I think I wanted to mention this at some point last week from whatever it was we were talking about, and I didn't get a chance to. Although, do we want to do a retrospective of Sonic Adventure 1 at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
We'll go through
yeah.
all of them.
Duh.
I will
But,
save it.
like,
I'll save it for then.
Thinking
I'll save
about
it for then.
like a potential rivalry between echidnas and hedgehogs, I just want to see Knuckles beat the fuck out of Amy now.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
Jesus.
For some reason, I just had this image in my head. You know that like thinking of her meme? I'm just imagining Wayne sitting there going, thinking of her, and it's just the mural from Sonic Adventure.
I think about it a lot. Listen.
So, shall we talk about Carnival Night?
Yeah.
I feel like this level was kind of like they looked at Casino Night and were like, we need one of those for this one. But,
Oh,
But
yeah.
they
by
didn't.
no means
But they
is that-
didn't think about like what it meant to have one of those levels on Angel
I
Island.
mean, I guess like every island in Sonic mythology has that one fun place, you know, like it's natural landscapes, but there's just this fucking carnival all in the middle of it.
It's just like there's a
And I'm-
random
Yeah.
casino in Lost World too for no fucking reason.
Yeah, there's a casino in the Lost Hex. It's the kind of thing where if Sonic ever discovered the Bermuda Triangle, there'd be a fucking theme park in it.
I do think people underestimate, because I know we talk about Chemical Plant a whole lot, but I think people underestimate just how impactful Casino Night was for the entire Sonic franchise going forward. But
It's like
yeah,
a mid-game party, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, and Carnival Night definitely. I mean, I remember the advertisement for that. The art for the European box art is Carnival Night there, and for the commercials, Carnival Night everywhere. And it's because it's a graphical showcase more than anything else, I would say. Because yeah, you're definitely seeing like the thematic elements between that and Casino Night. But yeah, it is a beautiful spectacle of a level, and then that became the entirety of Knuckles Chaotic.
Yeah.
But it's so constricted compared to Casino Night, and I always ended up like running out of time in the second act, like I would with Casino Night, but for the entirely wrong reasons. Like it was just too long occasionally, as
I
opposed to
get
Casino Night, where
lost
I'm
in
like,
Act 2.
I'm not gonna
I
lie, I loved Carnival Night.
I still do love Carnival Night, but
The barrel needed telegraphing. It needed like an
I-
up-down arrow next to it or something.
I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't until I got exposed to the Sonic community at large that I realized that people actually had trouble with that barrel.
That's
like, I-
great and all, but
show.
it doesn't change the fact that that's a poorly telegraphed moment.
it goes to show like some people had no problem with it at all, and I knew every time I knew when I was talking Sonic 3, I knew we were gonna get those assholes in the comments like, I figured out my first try.
Yeah, because it's
I
like,
never had a
because like
problem with
I think
Well done,
Circe and I
buddy.
are in the same boat, but like neither of us are saying like there's not a reason people that we understand that people had issues with that and why.
Well,
It's just
yeah.
we were lucky.
Just gonna preempt anyone that wants to be like, I got past the barrel on first try. We get it, buddy. Cock big, cock big.
Like, I think I think the reason that I even didn't have an issue with it in the first place is I'd been playing Resident Evil games before I got my hands on Sonic games.
I'm a
So, like,
hardcore gamer.
the idea of like literally putting your nose up against a part of the environment and pressing random buttons to see what happened is thoroughly ingrained in my skull.
Part of it
So-
for me was there's that balloon platform that you encounter before the barrel, and the balloon platform kind of teaches you to kind of think outside the box with the platforming
But
elements
that's
a
the
little
thing
bit.
is, I would tend to think like maybe jumping on the barrel to give it a bit more momentum and weight and stuff would do it.
So the problem with the barrel is two things very specifically that I can think of. First off, Tails jumps. So like I'm gonna follow along with the AI component there. Secondly, you get a more immediate reaction from jumping as opposed to slowly waiting for it to go up and down, up and down. You have to do that for a little bit before you notice any actual change in what's happening there. So it's a fine idea, but like since they forced you in there, they clearly wanted to be a puzzle, and it's just a little jarring compared to everything else. When you know what it is, it's not a big deal. It's fine, but it should have been a different color, or there should have been some hint in there because like they're not above putting arrows and shit like they've done that in previous games, like shaped out of rings and stuff like that.
Yep.
Or if they just put coat back in there.
Just cope.
And Cope would at least,
Yeah, but I mean it's very telling when Sonic Jam, the re-releases of all of those games done by Sonic Team, it's still the original people that made those original games. When they do normal mode for that game, and I shout out to Geek Critique for pointing this out because I did not play through the standard or like the normal or easy modes when I got Sonic Jam as a kid. But he points this out, like normal mode just removes it flat out. I think that's the case, maybe just easy mode. But there are parts of the stages they change when they revisit it in Sonic Jam, and I think they showed like, yeah, okay, maybe we kind of fucked up with this. It's fine, but it's not very well telegraphed. People say it's in the manual. I grew up with the English manual. It's not in there, so maybe it's in the Japanese one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it sure as shit
What-
is not in the American one.
Plus, I feel like that's not. Listen, like even back then, like manuals could get lost very easily. I can't. It's rare that I've ever actually seen like a complete Sonic. You know what? I'm gonna look this up right now. I've got.
Also,
I've got
again,
my
if you have
copy
to
of Sonic
put-
3 right here.
if you have to put a level mechanic in the manual, it's probably a sign that that's not a very good level mechanic.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, and Connor puts a good point here. It feels like a jumping challenge that you aren't good enough to clear, but you want to keep trying. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you went with the jumping thing, like there's not really a point that tells you this isn't working because you keep getting a reaction from it. And like you can by jumping, I'm pretty sure you can get down there, because you have to be just quick as shit to do it. But like jumping does get that reaction too. So the best way to do it was like if there was like no reaction from jumping, like that would have been it, honestly.
I think with that particular barrel, it should have been to like access a secret area or a special stage or something, but it shouldn't have been
Not
to
gated
progress through the main
progression.
level, because like on average most people would never think to press up and down, because technically Sonic's not even doing anything to influence that barrel. Like every other mechanic in these games is done through Sonic influencing it in some way. For example, landing on a spring has him go up and stuff, but there's no in-universe thing that Sonic is doing to make that barrel move up and down. You're effectively controlling the platform.
And yeah, just flip through it. It's nowhere in the manual.
Yeah, it's like I have it here too.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking at the manual too. We all did it.
Well, I've looked at this for a couple times before, but yeah, I guess that actually goes against what I complimented the game for earlier, which was like these very singular things and levels. Because if they had trained you with different things leading up to that point, it wouldn't be a big of a deal. And there are barrels that react like that in the level, but again, they're not differently colored. They're not all the barrels are doing different things, and there's no other point in that game where it stops you to do the up and down things. So yeah, it's whatever. We're talking about it forever. We can keep going. It's not a big deal.
I guess we get to talk
man.
about the best music in this game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Ice Cap is the best music in the game.
I think it is.
I like it. I like it.
I love Ice Cap's music so much.
It's so good.
I honestly prefer the beta version.
You are
I
a
don't hate
beta
it.
version.
I'm gonna be real though, like the beta soundtrack for Sonic 3 has some amazing stuff, especially Supersonic's theme, which should have been the fucking Supersonic theme in the game, in my opinion.
It's
It's
way
good
funnier
when
as
it's
a
actually
Sonic
running
record.
through a Genesis sound chip.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is, but like, is good though. Is good.
I much prefer the beta stuff over what we got. Again, this is my favorite game of all time. I got a lot of nostalgia for it. I mean, Ice Cap would probably be the only one I would say I prefer from the newer soundtrack.
Well, still, hell yeah, man. We both prefer most of the beta soundtrack. Here's to
Yeah.
being beta males. High five.
Oh, boy. At least he owns it, man. You gotta own the joke. But
That's true.
yeah, I'd much prefer. I mean, Carnival Night just alone. Carnival Night. As I grew up as a Michael Jackson fan as a kid, and even then I was like, buddy, this is a bit too much. Like, this doesn't sound like Sonic to me. I don't know
Also,
what this is.
Can I just say the song Hard Times is a fucking bop, though? I prefer that to the game version.
You prefer the actual instruments and music? It's fine. It's fine.
Well, look, some people like the Genesis sound chip and stuff, but I also like more the melodies and stuff of Hard Time. It is different. Fucking clown.
But yeah,
man.
the
Get
MIDI
outta here.
did do those. And I don't know why we didn't think about this. I mean, me specifically, because it fucked up the rest of the soundtrack, and I just played along with everybody else. Like, yeah, the music exclusively for the PC one just kind of sucks dick too. I really should have just we had everything there to clues to be like, oh no, this is what was clearly meant to be there before Michael Jackson was involved. This would sound better through the Genesis. So whatever, lesson learned. I'm glad that prototype dropped online so we could get the proper music.
Cockle.
The level itself is pretty fun too.
It is. Actually, yeah, it's a really well designed.
Am I the only one here? What's going on?
You're not the only
You're
one
not,
here.
no.
What?
We good. We're here.
Can you hear us?
I'm here for you, Nick.
Yeah, we're all here. I understand you're slipping into the great beyond, but I mean, you're here with us for a little longer.
It's fine. We're all going to give you a little kiss.
Like, I know you're gonna.
I'm not going to do that.
Yes, you are. You're going to give him a little kiss on the foreskin.
It sounded like you were gonna say forehead, and then
No.
we got cucked by the pup.
You need to Google what that means. But
I know what
Nick,
it means.
Are you? Shut up, Nick. Are you here?
I think his internet just went again.
He's having a hard
poor boy.
times today.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, let's resume our conversation about the Sonic Adventure games then.
Oh my god. I hate everything. Everything.
That is a pretty good YouTuber. Yeah. Damn
it.
Come on, Nick.
Everything's a YouTuber now.
What's the matter, Nick? Are you sick? Need me to suck your dick?
I'm just all right.
And there he goes.
That was
Fucking-
I think that was a polite refusal.
And maybe this should be a 2-pack.
I think it means parter.
Yeah, I think he definitely. I think he does
We-
mean Parter.
Oh,
we gonna-
hey, that actually kind of works.
We could end it on a cliffhanger. But no, it doesn't
mean,
work
if-
because we're not even through Sonic 3 yet.
We're almost there though. We have like one level left to
we're
go.
we're on Ice Cap right now.
All right,
Yeah.
And like,
Nick, once you get back
Let's
we
finish up Sonic
should
3 and then we'll do
on 3, then do K next week. Oh, when I say then do K, I mean Knuckles, not ketamine. So, right, okay. Yeah, we're gonna be doing
So-
some K.
so, I will say this: I do like that Ice Cap. Ice Cap begins with a really cool set piece and something that we do get to see later on in other Sonic games, because we get the Ice Cap Zone in Sonic Adventure, we get City Escape in Sonic Adventure 2 that begin with this same like jumping down on the snowboard idea, which I mean, I understand in hindsight is literally just Sega going, all right, guys, what is cool in the 90s? BMX?
the extreme.
Let's do BMX, but in Sonic the Hedgehog, everyone.
I think another thing I really like about Ice Cap is that it doesn't dick you about by making the level overly slippery.
No, I agree with that, because it is so easy for a Sonic, for any game, to go, the ice level's gimmick is it has slippery floors.
Which there's less ice physics in Ice Cap Zone than there are in Mario's basic movement in Super Mario World.
Yeah.
He's slippery as fuck in that game. I don't know if anybody remembers, but holy shit.
So,
Easy to slip into a
Mario
Zitella
3
butthole then, eh?
Mario 3 does control a lot tighter than Mario World. I can agree with that.
Do you think Mario's
Here's
penis
Nick.
has a mustache?
I think it does.
I think so, yes. I mean, why not?
Nick, you're right.
I think so.
Can
Welcome.
barely hear you.
Welcome back.
Can barely hear me.
Oh, I can hear you a little better now.
Wayne, don't do that to him.
For fuck's sake, man.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
All right,
It's
okay,
fine.
so
Is
are
it
we
though?
are we good for just look, get on with it? Are we good for Ice Cap then?
I mean, I don't know if Nick ever got an opportunity to talk about Ice Cap that much,
Talk
aside
about-
from the
talk about Ice-
music.
Talk
You
about
know,
Ice Cap.
I have a couple times up to this point.
Look, man, we're not doing like this is a DLC, and the prerequisite is we watch our individual videos on our channel. Talk about Ice Cap or I'll smack you.
Oh my god.
It's all right. A couple things. So the snowboarding was advertised all the time when that game was coming out, and it is just a nothing thing. It looks cool.
It's a
but
set piece. That's all.
But
it's a set piece. It's not built into the environment, and I think the fact that we saw it come back in Adventure
Oh yeah,
in more than one way is very
Yeah.
telling.
And
Oh,
in
yeah,
the upcoming
Adventure
movie.
More of that.
I think Adventure did do it better, but like
Because in
that's a
Adventure we
conversation
actually
for another
got control.
day. I
over
don't
it.
hold it against 3 though, because 3 came before, so it's like, you know.
I don't hold it against it, but you could tell that they wanted to
do it
more
right.
than they did.
It's at least better than Sonic 4 and at least has an excuse.
Yeah, that's why
I do think it's cool that they're bringing it into the movie as well.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
That's gonna be cool.
memorable.
it's certainly going to be literally
it's a very '90s thing, and they had to get
It's
Sonic on
happening.
skateboards and snowboards. Man, it just had to happen.
That's literally exactly what I like. As you hopped off, my points were I'm glad it gets revisited better later, and it feels like they did this just so they could have BMX in Sonic, because of course they would.
Is
Yeah, of
BMX
course.
something different over there? Because over here BMX is cycling.
It is cycling, so I don't know.
It is cycling here.
I think what he means is
It's anywhere.
SSX, isn't it?
SSX,
Sure,
yeah.
why not?
Like SSX Tricky.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. That's the official name for the entire sport. SSX Tricky.
SEX Tricky.
Sex tricky.
Maybe for you, but not for me. For me, it's downright impossible.
oh. Oh. That
What did
joke
you-
got
wh-
sadder.
What was it you said beforehand? At least he owns it.
I ain't gonna let
Yeah.
it get to me. I'm just gonna creep. And in a sexual context, that sounds terrible.
I do want to say though that I just love again because we were talking about like the lack of ice physics and everything in Sonic Adventure
Sonic
in
3?
Ice Cap in Sonic 3. And
It's
I got to
nice.
agree. I got to agree with that because it's just like, man, it's a gimmicky stage that doesn't feel like one.
I think
Where
that's
it's
the
just
thing,
like
Sorry,
it was
go on, Wayne.
reinventing what an ice level was like on
That's
a
the thing.
platformer.
It's like so many other video games, like, we need to make this a challenging snow level. So
It
we'll
will
make
have
it so that
slips.
it's impossible to control. Whereas Sonic 3 and Knuckles was like, we're going to be creative with it. We're going to make it so you can, smash down these ice structures and stuff. And there's going to be a little snowboarding. Some snow might fall on top of you that you have to jump out of and stuff. It's so much better that way than just the level is only hard because
makes-
you can't control it.
It makes me wonder if because I know back then like Mario had the standard for ice levels, especially Mario 3, being that you were just no traction at all. All characters are Luigi. And I wonder if, in terms of like how game developers think about, like, not indie developers because that wasn't a huge thing back then, but larger scale development companies, I wonder if stuff like the design of later ice levels did actually change because we had stuff like Ice Cap that did not force slipping when that was kind of the previously established standard. Because when I'm thinking of ice levels after that, not just in Sonic, but even stuff like Mario 64, they're a lot more sparing going forward with like how much punishment ice actually does to you. And I don't think that it's realistic to say that Ice Cap had influence on that going forward, but there's a part of me that kind of wants to feel like maybe it did.
Well, there's another
So-
thing that. Oh, sorry.
I think it's out of necessity more than anything else. When you consider what Mario was doing, it is all about pitch perfect platforming. That is the entire point of Mario. Point of Ice in that specific scenario is to fuck with that. It is a new challenge to help you master these controls a little bit better. With Sonic, you already have to have a little more nuance in how you interact with it. Like it's far more complicated to bring in the momentum and the ball physics and everything else. It is already adding on to the Mario play style in some way
Ball
or another.
physics.
Like, yeah, Sonic's already doing its own different thing. And if you try to bring in slippery mechanics with that, I think it just falls on its face. Pun fully intended. I really do think it's just out of necessity more than anything else, where they realize like Sonic is already doing something so different that if we tried to bring in slippery mechanics, it's just gonna be detrimental to the overall play style. So we just have to keep this more in line with Sonic design, but with some ice things here and there.
And another thing that I appreciated about it, because it was like something that I noticed from both like Sonic 3 and like even some other games going forward, like Sonic Adventure, I think did a good job of capturing this, is that it kind of goes between like how extremely cool this kind of setting can be, like with the snowboarding, mixed with a little bit of just how gorgeous it is. Like it's a beautiful level where it's like not just, oh, here's some snow and ice. No, there's like there's spiky ice fixtures. There's like all of these like columns and everything that you gotta like destroy to get them down to a level you can actually jump on them. Like it's like an ice palace almost. It's so creative and it's so out of the norm for what you would expect from a level like that back in the day.
Yeah, and I think that's what they went with instead, where they're like, we really can't risk fucking around with slippery physics, so let's just instead put that emphasis in different parts of this, and that would be the aesthetic, that would be, yeah, because like you could switch out some of this stuff for like a falling stalactite, like if this is just like a cave or something like that. But instead they use ice, so it looks fun when he's jumping out of snow. It looks cool when he has to jump on icicles. It's brilliant. I'm not trying to say it's anything but that. It's brilliant. I'm very happy they did not try to copy the Mario formula in that sense. Because by the time
Yeah.
Sonic 3 was out, it was like, yeah, you can make some parallels, but we're very clearly doing our own thing at this point.
So that brings us to the final level of Sonic 3, which is Launch Base Zone, where Sonic pops out of a little snow mound. And in many ways, I feel like Launch Base Zone feels like an evolution of Chemical Plant, in that you got like these tubes of liquid and stuff, and it's this very functional place. But I also just really love that aesthetic of it being like a launch base, like it's almost kind of space agey. I like the purple and yellow color scheme. I like the storytelling elements. One thing that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is I love that moment where Eggman is clearly shifting some cargo around his launch base, and like you get to go beat him a little bit. It gives like this sense of like, Dr. Eggman is actively prepping for his big end game thing
Yeah.
to happen.
You
And
see him interacting with the world, like in
yeah,
real
like-
time.
it has that definite feeling of anticipation and preparations. And as like Nick said, I do think it feels more like a penultimate episode level than a final. But at the same time, like it's one of those things where there are definite trade-offs if you do treat this as the final level. Like, no, it doesn't feel like it necessarily has the exact same scope as like Death Egg, nor is the robot a giant one. But it's like you get 3 different boss fights, and like they're all pretty cool, and you get to ride in the Eggmobile while the Death Egg takes off. I do still think it's a really cool level and a cool final level. It's just not as climactic as, say, Sonic and Knuckles would go on to be.
Mhm.
Also, the design is really good. I like how many slopes there are.
I'll say there's an aspect of the level that I really like, and that it's an aesthetic thing more than anything. But if you look at the tiling in the level, it looks like it's an area that was made of brick, and then Eggman has slowly just started grafting metal onto everything. Like it looks
That's a good
very
point.
like it looks very much like it's something that almost like what he would do later in stuff like Sonic Adventure 2, where he would take a pyramid and then retrofit it to be his
That's
base.
a good point. Yeah.
It looks like that's what he does here, because I'm actually like looking at the tiling and I'm like, this looks really tacked on, and I think that's the point, because there's only bolts on the metal plating.
One more thing I really love about the aesthetics is particularly in Act 1, where you can literally see the Death Egg embedded in the water just waiting to launch. It's like, I don't think in Sonic 2 you ever actually see the Death Egg from the outside, which I think is ridiculous considering it's a big part of the story.
Mhm.
But like in this,
Yeah.
you get your first proper look at the exterior of the Death Egg, and it's huge, and it's just looking at you with those 2 cold eyes. Like, there is anticipation here, like, and I love that.
Yeah, the level of build-up, and this game is so good at that. It's just that visual storytelling. It's something that you can kind of look at it as this was when Sonic started really telling stories in its games. I think Sonic CD was trying to, and it was just not as successful. Sonic 3 is where it felt like they really hit the nail on the head, and for better or for worse, that's a trend that the franchise would kind of go on with for quite a while after that. But to kind of echo your point from earlier, I'm so sorry, I don't know what's happening with my mouth today. But to echo your point from earlier, Pup, when we're talking about like people saying like, oh yeah, like the classic days when Sonic wasn't trying to tell a story and it was just all platforming all the time, and I'm just like, what games were you guys playing?
I was like, no, they definitely did storytelling. They just did a lot of environmental storytelling, which is usually harder to pull off.
They set a hell of a standard for storytelling in that kind of game.
Yeah, it was cool. It's like the sort of thing where I almost look at it in the same light as how Half-Life decided to do all of its storytelling was in real time, where it was while it's all things happening around you, outside of cutscenes and everything like that. And Sonic 3 and Knuckles does that like a lot.
It just doesn't do it with dialogue, so people don't notice it as much. But like,
yeah,
the fact that it's happening without dialogue shows more restraint and more expertise when it comes to the visual storytelling medium, just from my perspective.
like that's a whole other thing. Is like I feel like I don't need Sonic games to be mute, but I would like to see a return to environmental storytelling. And I feel like Sonic Forces is the ultimate example of how divorced from that concept Sonic Team feels. Because like the fact that they have those comm things in the game to tell you exactly what's going on, but you'd have not necessarily any real way of knowing that without having that on. Like I find like, look, I don't want to hear Sonic characters talk while I'm just trying to play the fucking game. So I do kind of try and turn the comms off. But at that point, it just feels like a normal level that you're just running through. Like you don't have that much of the environmental storytelling outside of like a few robots in the background or something. But even that is just nothing compared to what Sonic 3 brings to the table.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
do
it's like
the mod for Sonic Forces where it kind of extends out some levels because it does feel a lot more like launch base when you consider where you start in that little snow pile and you see the Death Egg for the first time there. By the time you get to the end of Act 2, you're in the water because you're right next to this fucking thing. You've been moving closer this whole time. The background's been showing you this the whole time. And the hazards and the environment and like the gameplay changes alongside the background. And I think that's genius. Gaming is such a unique medium for storytelling. So I appreciate it when games tell their stories only games can, like ways only games can. And
Yeah.
Sonic 3 absolutely did that. That said, that doesn't mean I didn't want to see the story played out in a more grand scale in different mediums. Archie failed completely on that front for me as a kid. Fleetway did a lot better. Not 100% perfect, but like I was so satisfied like when I discovered Fleetway existed and when I went back to that and I was like, thank you guys. Thank you for giving a shit about the source material.
I think the game that has come the closest to that level of environmental storytelling is Sonic Adventure 2. I saw a brilliant video on like how what's a Radical Highway? I almost called it Rational Highway for a second there, but Radical Highway.
Talking about the Zoom Zyke video?
I think so, where it's like it's a playable cutscene that they refer to it as, and like like how the signage points to like, you know, your destiny or whatever and stuff. Like it's quite silly in how it does it, but like there's a lot of storytelling in like Radical Highway alone, and also like the forest level and everything for Sonic. Like I think Sonic Adventure 2 is definitely the closest we've ever come to the level of environmental storytelling that we have in Sonic 3.
And that's why I say like I think there's a lot more in common than not with the adventure games and the classic ones, despite this weird tribalism between all of us here. There's a lot of lessons learned from Sonic 3 Knuckles that plays into those. Now, would I like the gameplay tweaked a little bit better? Would I like better localization? Yes, I would. But a lot of what people love about the adventure games started here, and I don't know. It's one of those situations where it's like we got more in common than we don't for this fan base.
We're not so different, you and I.
I'm not like you. You're a murderer.
I don't have big cat boobs.
One of those is true. I'm kidding. What?
Oh God. Oh my God. Well, guys, we do really appreciate you hanging out with us as much as you have. If you can't tell though, we've had a hectic podcast. We didn't mean to. My internet's being weird, and I'm worried it's going to get weird again. So we probably are going to have to redo a couple of things with the thumbnail and
yeah, I was saw that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So shall we?
We're gonna, yeah. Let's just pull a Sonic team and cut it in half. We'll go have some McDonald's. You know, since that's the real reason.
Oh God damn it! I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna go get McDonald's.
I like how we've all like been like, oh, they splitting this game in half is a bad thing and stuff, and now
then
we've fucking done it ourselves.
With the actual.
Well, there you go. We learn a little something. We learn to empathize. But shall we now talk about the super chats?
Yes, we can talk
I don't
about
know why
money.
I worded it like that. We'll talk about those super chats. Am I right?
Well, those are for next week. Right now, we only have the chaos chats.
Ah, you're right.
You stupid son of a bitch! I hate you.
Don't worry. After next episode, we'll be able to talk about why Hyper Sunset City matters.
Right, so before Cirrus makes another fucking terrible pun, let's just get on with this and go around the table. So I'll start us off with Sony. or Sonny. When are we ever going to find out how that's pronounced?
The same time we figure out how Hydrosity is pronounced, Bob.
Sends 5 rings and says, I think Zavok would be a great antagonist for Knuckles. That's it. That's the message. Oh. Now, yeah, you guys are all going to go on about the IDW now, aren't you?
Just read the fucking book, man. For God's
Shall
sake.
I just go make a coffee while you guys talk about IDW?
I mean,
my
you could
God.
go read it.
Okay. You
No,
can
I-
always watch Nick's most recent. You can watch Nick's The Game Apologist Sonic speed reading on Bad Guys, the miniseries. No, it was actually.
So I do intend to get somewhat at least caught up with the IDW. I'm still going to say this. Whether or not they fix his personality is one thing or another. Zavok needs a redesign to make him look less like Bowser, because all of those Bowser aesthetics are present with Zavok.
No,
They
I
need
want
to find a way to make him resemble Zavok, but ditch the Bowserisms.
he needs to stay as close to Bowser as possible so the Sonic fandom can make it proper Bowsette Zavok.
Right, just Nick, please get us
Wait.
to it without Power Jamal.
Cyrus,
before
what
Cyrus
have you done?
fucking pipes up again.
Cyrus.
I cannot with your filthy mind today. I cannot.
Well, I've said that knowing full well somebody's going to draw art of that shit.
So Jamal
Ink, don't.
is ink in here. I was gonna say, is ink in here? So Jamal sent us 5 honeybees. Happy Bee Theory Friday, Sunset City. Nick Milk cross Cirrus Milk is always canon, guys.
I love Jamal so much.
I love you're just saying his name wrong, incorrect. You're just saying it wrong.
I'm not
Just
saying it
even
wrong.
all-
I'm saying it with an English accent.
Jamal, you can say all.
We
You
don't
gotta
say
start with
Jamal
all.
here. It doesn't sound right for
You
me.
do
Okay?
too. You absolutely do.
No, we don't. We say Jamal. That's how it's pronounced in the UK.
I'm gonna keep arguing this like I know anything.
Listen,
about
man,
the
don't fuck with me, okay? The Empire
Oh
will
no,
strike
Ink
back.
Well,
Ink
course
and
Ink did,
Dreamboatin are both there.
yeah,
No,
they
god
are.
damn it! What have you done?
Ink, just don't, okay? There'll be a reward for you if you don't, okay?
Just I feel like every week going forward, we're gonna have like some weird ass thing on Twitter, be like, oh, if you listen to Sunset City, like the 6 Deathly Nights.
If you don't draw what Sturris just said, I'll give you permission to draw Wayne naked and send it to me.
No. Do not
Somebody in
consent.
my
Wayne does
somebody in
not
my
consent.
Discord, somebody in my Discord's been drawing an avatar for Wayne, and it looks really fucking good.
Wayne, please get your
Somebody's
shit out.
driving someone's driving an avatar for me.
Yeah, and it looks really good. I'll track that down and show it to you later.
Oh shit. Okay.
But yeah, it's your turn, Cyrus.
You've got Aiden
Th-
F.
This one is from Aiden F. Thank you very much for the $5 and
No,
or
no, no,
rings.
no, 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 no! Sonic
And or
currency.
rings.
Sonic currency.
Ah,
That
right.
doesn't exist though. So
We
Yeah, there
had
is no
things,
currency in
We
Sonic.
had rings. Just something and not the currency, okay? We
Okay,
unify
fine.
this world.
Aiden F for 5 Chaos
Legos.
Emeralds.
5 Legos. It fits with this thing.
Knuckles doesn't buckle his shoes. Hope you're having a pretty wizard Friday, as the teens say. Wait, they're the teens now. They're not the kids anymore. Wayne, you're getting old.
No, they're
How
all
does
saying
he-
it. The teens and the kids are both saying it.
How do they stay
At
so hip? I'm telling you,
At
man.
this point in our lives, they're all kids. Let's be real. Come on.
And I was about to say that, yeah. We
Not
have
me. I'm 13.
so we have
That
Dream
means I'm going to jail.
Yeah, I've been groomed, guys.
We
Wait,
have
what?
Yeah, Sunset City, more like the Speedophiles.
He's been waiting on that one for like a couple days now.
I've been,
He's been dying to use that.
No, when I saw Encyclopedia, I started thinking of other speed puns, and I was like, Speedophiles.
anyway, any fucking way.
Go on, Wallace.
We have Dreambone with 5 USBs. Now I must decide: play Sonic 3 and K or draw something terrible. Both.
think
It's got to be.
that
You have
decided.
already made
think
that
that's been
decision at
decided.
this point.
Yeah.
Just don't draw what Cyrus suggested, okay?
Yeah, it's
There's
gonna
like
happen.
there's
You
terrible,
cannot draw anything but what Cyrus
there's
suggests.
terrible, and then there's abhorrent, okay? Like,
And then there's Pup.
It's
okay,
just gonna be Bowsette with a different color palette. That's all it's gonna be.
so we've got Jamal Simmons again, with
Maybe a bit of an underbite.
with two coconuts. And says also on 3.48k subscribers, guys, milk bro forever. I fucking love that. The idea of referring to our fans as milk bros. Thanks again, Jamal. Please adopt me. I would really love for you to be my dad. All right. Nick, you're up. Oh, and yeah, go on.
AK Shodan just gave us 10 milkies. That is it. Thank you so much, Shodan.
Thank you, buddy.
So,
Oh, I
Go
almost
on.
read that last part out loud.
Yeah,
Nope,
don't.
nope.
Just don't.
Nope. This next one is from Threemonic, and it's 10 Threemonics. Today I will be doing Sandopolis Apologia. Sonic and Knuckles Collection Gang Rise Up.
Nah, not today though. Next week.
next week, yeah.
And then Game Apologist sent us nothing and said, "Focus up, boys," all caps.
God, Nick, why don't you pay us properly?
Wait, hang on. He's not in charge of accounts though. I am. So yeah.
We got Sodi with 2 units of Nick's neglect. Zeddy lore better than Angel Island lore.
I think reading that made me die a little on the inside, and I think that was the intention.
I'm gonna make it die me on the outside too.
It's
I don't
gonna
wanna
die
live.
you on the outside, so you're a homestuck now?
No.
I
No, I
the
forgot
entire
that was even
deadly
a thing.
sticks with the peach crown. I guess actually, what's Xena gonna look like?
What
with
if
that?
that's the next Sonic game? Is like Sonic versus Homestuck characters, and they're called the Homestuck Six.
What if she gets the peach crown and she just gets like a real big dick? You know what I mean?
I never
mean,
watched Homestuck.
Listen,
I wouldn't
It's
know.
it's
I
not
don't
a
know what Homestuck is. We're talking
Not a Homestuck
fucking
is.
Bowsette jokes.
that's just an
I don't know
internet
what the
thing.
fuck Homestuck is.
Oh no.
Don't
The
worry
gray-
about
Is that
it.
the gray stuff with the? Is that the gray people with the antlers?
Yes. Yeah,
I've seen the designs around. I have no idea what the fuck it's about though.
Hey, from what I can tell, it's a perfectly fine webcomic with fans that just took literally everything they possibly could way too far.
I don't think I would say it's
Oh.
a perfectly fine webcomic, and I own the physical copies.
Is it not a perfectly fine webcomic? I
It
have
is
not
not-
read much of
The
it.
universe is a fucking frog, Wayne. It is not a perfectly fine webcomic.
Gesundheit? What?
I've got enough unhealthy fan bases to deal with. Let's keep going.
Okay, so
All right.
way past cool kids sends me 5 agreements to date. Says, "Good morning, everyone. Blue Heart. This might be my favorite episode. This is my childhood game and is nothing short of a masterpiece. Also, Knuckles is black. Black fist bump. Yep, he is.
That doesn't look black to me. The
Yeah, no, Discord.
It
kind
looks
of-
more like that in the
in the YouTube
chat.
one. I think Discord
Oh,
has
nice.
its own. Discord
Nice,
has its
nice,
own
nice.
agenda. on that
Yo,
one.
Discord's
weird.
whitewashing.
Yeah, Discord. That's pretty sus.
I do think it's interesting that the emotes transfer from one program to another.
It is.
Yeah.
Technology is
Just
wild.
a shame that
And
Discord
racist.
has its own little set of views on that. Huh?
Yeah. So Jeremy Montoya sent us 50 rings. I think that's an appropriate time to use rings there. And that's a thank you. My goodness. Wow. To say Bing Bong.
You spent all that just to say Bing Bong.
And you know
I
what?
mean, why not?
We are thankful
Well,
for
I've
every
got a-
not penny of it.
Right, let me get
We're-
my blockchain.
Thank you for
we're
the
making,
50 Bing Bongs.
We're
Thank you
making
for
this
the
guy
50 Bing
another
Bongs.
NFT. Let me just go burn down a rainforest real quick.
Oh god.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
man.
This next one is from weird looking classic Sonic, and it's 10. We've definitely used these chow for something else, I swear. Don't forget that it's called Hydrosity. That's true.
Cock.
We we have way past cool kid with 1.99 big the cat testicles. Carnival Night was used in Wonder Man music vid.
Huh.
Wonder Man.
What's Wonder Man?
Is that like the Wonder Woman sequel?
Is that like the bread?
After they finally caved
Oh,
to
no.
like Nerdrotic?
We're not
Wonder Man is a Marvel character, so
we're not doing the
No.
Wonder Bread meme here. We're done.
oh,
So
Wait, is
think
there a
that's a
Wonder Bread meme?
it sounds like it's if Circe is like we shouldn't do it, that's telling. So
Mr.
Oh,
S-
I'm not familiar with this. Oh no.
So Mr. Snail Penis sends us 10 10 froggies, and says,
Stalemate.
I still go back and play S3K every few months. It's just that good. It is
Agreed.
good, to be fair. It is good. As much as I like to troll, it is good.
Cringe before Zavik.
What
What the
I
fuck is
feel
that
that.
from?
It's from Team Sonic Racing.
Does it? Is that just an edit?
It's real. That's real.
That's
He
real.
says that.
That's real.
That's
That's
real.
He says cringe before Zavok.
Oh no!
That makes it my favorite line of dialogue from the meta era.
Amazing.
I really want to know, is that just a bad translation though? Or like
I doubt
I
it.
doubt it.
do they misunderstand what cringe means? Or maybe do they know?
I mean, it could just be adults using cringe for what it's supposed to mean. Sometimes.
Cringe.
Yo, whoa! Did somebody tell? Wait, somebody said something in our chat and it attributed it to me saying it. What happened here?
Oh, that racist thing you said.
No, wait, what? Oh, so it was Nick
You're
that
the-
wrote that.
You're the one that whitewashed the color of the fist.
No, I swear I didn't.
Hey Wayne, can you send me a picture of your dick?
Anyway,
We need an HR department.
We do
Is it
need
my
an
turn?
HR department. I think believe it is your turn. Yes.
Yep.
so Ledric sent us 50 Quaaludes, and read IDW pup, please.
Okay, look, I've got 2 books. Okay,
Oh, I was the one that said that. That was part of the. Oh, okay.
I've got 2 IDW Sonic books. I've got the Infection book, and I've got the 30th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. And I haven't read the 30th Anniversary yet. I have read the Infection book. Now, no disrespect to IDW, I do want to keep up with everything that they're doing. I still find it funny that it's like a running gag of like, hey, you see this terrible thing in Sonic? Read the IDW. It's actually good.
Yeah, but like if people are going to be bitching and moaning about good Sonic stories, read the
I'm
fucking
not even bitching and moaning about it. I just find it funny that it's come to a point where it's like IDW exists.
The running joke is that IDW fixes Sonic.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
like
that, but Archie-
I was playing
Archie was
Sonic
doing that
06.
too.
I was playing Sonic 06 the other day, and I really hated it. Oh yes, well, have you read the IDW?
For the sake of jokes aside, though, since we are a Sonic podcast, and Ian Flynn's been such an influential part of the satellite material to the point where he's now going to be taking over for the next game at the very least in terms of the script, I think it would be good on all of us to be on top of maybe at least one comic series.
It is worth noting when you said Ian has been influential, I figured you could say he's been
Influential. Yep.
Cirrus, you knew he was going to say it. You
Yep.
don't need to finish everybody's sentences.
Why
Just
did
let
we
him get
come-
his stupid joke out.
Why did
I
we
gotta
come
do
there?
it. If I don't, I'll explode. Or I'll
I don't
cry.
need it in stereo. I don't need it in stereo.
Yeah.
Or like,
Oh, so
I'll-
that's what it is. You just didn't want to cringe twice.
No, serious, really. If you don't let me get these things out there, I'm going to have a severe dip in my mental health, okay?
Is that when I have to play Faded Hills?
Yeah, it's a callback, all right? I really appreciate you validating that you understand my references.
But we know what that joke's gonna be. I'm gonna say this. This is our first meeting about Cirrus. Don't
Okay.
have to finish our jokes. We know what we're saying. We
This
know
is
it's
not the first meeting
predictable.
we've had about Cirrus.
Meetings are behind. Dude, Nick, meetings are for patrons only.
That really would be. That would be. It wouldn't it? Just be like.
Just have, like,
behind
We
literally
me.
just have
we
our
need to-
HR meetings.
We need to record our disciplinary meetings now and put them on a Patreon for people to
Like
watch.
that is true though. Like after we get wrapped up, sometimes we're like, okay, that was good, or we're like, here's how we fucked up.
No, I
Like,
feel it would be really funny though. It's like, oh boy, I can't wait to see the meetings, and it's just like us just opening up to each other on an emotional level and
yeah, basically.
talking about what we've been going through. And
And you better
Just
believe,
being
like after
bros.
we're done here, we're gonna be like, oh fuck, man, like this gonna come. back.
after we're done, we're gonna be like, listen, dude, you're no less than anyone else. You're a valuable asset to the team.
I don't need you lying to me like this.
Oh god.
Seriously,
right, let's
you
get
need
back to
stop
the super
sending us
chats.
Fucking
All right.
pillows, man.
We got more super chats, so I really appreciate
This
it.
one-
Sir, it's your turn.
Yep, this one is from Dreamboatin. It is 5 regrettable HR meetings for it's coming along swimmingly. You guys watch your backs.
That almost feels like a threat.
I think it is a threat.
Worded like a threat.
I think
There's
it is
any
a
other way
threat.
to read that? Oh
right.
man, we got Black Yakuzu,
Yakuzu.
Black Yakuzu 94 with 5 VMUs. You guys think Knuckles was designed as a 100% serious character, or was he intended to have some comical elements, or somewhere in between?
I think he was definitely meant to be a bit of a goof.
Maybe a little
These are
bit,
cartoon characters at the end of the day, you know.
but I think he was supposed to be cool.
Yeah.
Wayne, I
Yeah.
sometimes have fantasies that I'm a little schoolboy and you're an IT technician and I need to get a computer fixed so I can finish my maths homework and you just put me on the table and we do things.
How do you, Pup, how the fuck do you function?
With
Are
a lot
you
of love in my
well?
heart for you, buddy.
Oh, I
At
think
this
for
point, I'm
you,
more
Wayne,
impressed that
he's
these are
fully
just-
functional.
I'm just impressed that he just pulls this shit out of his ass. It's just amazing to me.
Only because he's trying to make room back there.
We should probably answer questions instead of focusing on this.
God damn
Something
it.
I keep thinking about, especially nowadays, because we have these conversations all the time about what a character is meant to be, going by the origins, like the original intention and things like that. And that's an important conversation to have. But at the same time, if you go back and read early Spider-Man, holy fuck.
Whoa. What are you saying?
I'm saying early Spider-Man is kind of a shit. And like a lot of those parts are there that
Oh, he's an
forever set the
asshole.
foundation.
He's
But the
he's a bitter kid. He is a bitter kid, and I don't
He's
mind
a
that.
little bitch.
He's
Well, not
a
even
little bitch,
that.
but
Like
he's
well,
bitter.
not even that. Like even if you go into like the college years, like there's an agenda occasionally for what some of these creators are trying to say. I watched this very interesting video, just talking about Steve Ditko and his interpretation of the character and the world around him and how he used Spider-Man for that. The point is, like, the origins for stuff is not always going to be the gospel that we have to follow by forever and always. It's got to evolve and it's got to change, and I think that's for the better. I wish the Sonic franchise was a little bit more quality than it's been for a while, because I think it would be in the same conversation, the same echelon as Mario is now, as much as that's grown up. Because I think a lot of us would be a little bit more okay with Knuckles being interpreted in all these different ways. Because Boom Knuckles, despite him being, I think he's in terms of a problem, in terms of like, we didn't have Knuckles being what we knew him to be and why we loved the character. It's so far removed from that, but at the same time, like, he's like one of the best parts of that interpretation of the canon. You know, he's really
He is one of the
fucking
most
funny.
fondly remembered pieces of that.
I mean, the way I see it, like, it's something I've been kind of coming to terms with, like, myself, and like with how I've interacted with people on Twitter, with the rise of, like, for example, the MCU Spider-Man and, you know, the Snyderverse and everything. I've kind of learned that it's like, it's very easy to, as like a fan, a long-term fan, to see change and say they did this wrong, when in actuality, no, it's a deliberate change. They didn't just fuck this up by accident. And I think, like, there is still ultimately a difference. Like, there is still a thing where it's like you've changed it and it defeats the purpose of that character. But Sonic's characters outside of specific games aren't always really all that purposeful. So I think it's kind of okay in the case of Boom Knuckles. Like, if they made it so Knuckles' whole thing is he has small hands and doesn't punch anything, yeah, that would be quite a difference. But like, you get what I'm saying here.
I also understand the counterpoint to that, where people have been saying, like, well, yeah, but when you consider how he's been treated up to this point, this is how it's been distilled. And if this particular offshoot had taken off, who's to say, like, this wouldn't have been the interpretation? Of course, at this point, it's a shoulda, woulda, coulda. Not even a shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's a what if scenario, you know. But I don't know, man. Like, at the same time, yeah, like, it's a complicated conversation, because it is important to get characters right. And at the same time, it's okay to interpret them in different ways. As long as that delineation is there, I think it's okay. Because Boom Knuckles is not how I would have default Knuckles, but I like him for what he is in the stories they're telling. And at the same time, I'm also happy I live in a world where it looks like they're gonna re-emphasize how much of a badass he can be with the new movie coming out. And I know I've said like we gotta chill on Ken Penders last week. Ironically, that same day, he's showing up in my replies in Twitter and just being obnoxious as fuck. But like, he is gonna. I'm gonna be very interested to see what he's like on Twitter after that movie comes out. I'll tell you.
Well,
that
you see,
much.
when I was writing Knuckles, this is what I was trying to do, and I'm glad that they lifted my idea wholesale that I and only I ever wrote.
You see this echidna that I made that looks a lot like that other echidna that someone else made. Well, this echidna is mine.
This one is mine. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
My OC, my Sonic OC, Blue the Fast Hedgehog, is my own property. Okay,
He is Cecil who will not slow.
What was it, Stanley? It was
Stanley who will not
Stanley
slow.
who will not slow. I gotta find that artist. It's hard to track them down.
That's so fucking good.
Oh,
Do we still have other?
we still have other super
more.
chats.
We got
Yeah,
more
we still
to
got a
go.
couple.
Who's up
Ne-
next?
I believe it's
Sure.
Pup. I thought Pup was up next with Smackos.
Pup with
Oh
Smacko.
wow! I guess I
Alright.
just rambled so much I owned it. I'm sorry. Full of tenders
Smacko sends two tailses, or two penders actually, and he says, "Help! People are stealing my NFT." Also, Knuckles, no, they're not. You stole the NFT from Lettering. Give it back.
there.
God damn it.
The
gotta
blockchain
say,
will
guys,
prove it.
I gotta say, guys, I've always been on the fence a little bit about just like being done with Twitter because it is a little festery at times. It's very addictive, but I've got to say after this Twitter blue thing, I'm very much leaning to like maybe we just gotta stop supporting these guys. Like this is a little bit too much. I'm
Yeah,
really
it
sick and tired of
feels like
NFTs.
NFTs, like, I know they've been on the rise for a while, but it feels like we're reaching a precipice now where every trusted company, every fucking thing is now normalizing this thing, and it's just fuck off. If you like NFTs, fuck off.
Yeah. I'm just fully against NFTs at this point. I'm not gonna listen to the arguments for them. Otherwise, it's just a bad thing. It's a dumb idea.
You just
And
don't
it's-
understand them. Please let me explain them to you in this 15-thread crypto bro shit.
Funny monkey picture, and I own it, and it makes my cock feel bigger.
Mine's a lion.
With tits. Who's next?
You.
Oh, cool. All right, so we did NFTs. So Sony sent us $6.99 in NFTs. The actual use of cringe is to cower. So Zavik in TSR said cower before Zavik. We get that, but they still use cringe, and therefore the internet will use it as it sees fit because
Yep.
it's much funnier that way.
And I guess that leaves
So-
us with I say it leaves us with it, and then Otis dropped one right afterwards. So we have 5 comic books. that-
Wayne.
Damn it!
Wayne!
Delete yours.
I'm deleting mine.
To be fair, Pup, like you gotta let us know if you're gonna hop off and play a video game during the middle of it, because you're usually in charge of it.
No.
So-
Wait, it's the fact that me and Wayne post it together and then we delete it together. We need to make agreements.
That's what
He's just saying.
Right, Nick, get on the table.
Anyway,
I'm gonna shove your
from-
microphone up your ass. Come on.
I don't
Where
want
do you
to
think
hear.
I'm talking from, bro?
I don't want to hear Nick's insides. They're gloppy.
You are right now.
Oh, you'd know, wouldn't you?
So from Way Past Cool Kid, we have 5 comic book series Pup will not read. Wonder Man is a song that was made by Right Said Fred, I'm Too Sexy for My Shirt
minute.
Man. That was made for
that
Sonic
guy.
3, where Fred sings about Sonic.
Hashtag
I did not know that. I did not know that.
interesting.
I'm gonna look this up. I did not know they made music specifically for Sonic 3 outside of Sonic 3. I should know these things. I'm gonna look this up. Right Said Fred. Wonder Man. Oh, I fucking hope there's a holy shit. Wow. They built a set for Hydro City or whatever, everything. Wow. Oh,
Oh,
we're going
send-
to talk about this next week.
Send a
This is
picture, please.
Crazy.
Send a picture.
I'm sending you guys the video.
Send a picture.
Here we go.
Oh.
Oh, the 90s are wild. And they got whoa.
How did we not know about this?
I didn't know about this. It's all one word in the video. It's one word in the video.
So they say hydrosity.
The sign says hydrosity. Yeah.
I mean, what does it say in the game? Is it all one word in the game?
No, it's all
one word in the game.
So it is
Yeah.
hydrosity then. There's the answer.
Well, no, we don't know because in other media, like in track listings for like music and stuff like that.
No, but what's in the game is ultimately what matters the most.
We just got done
God,
saying
he
things have to evolve.
sounds like a Gungan.
That's just the sound of me motorboating.
To be
in
fair, they
massive
did make a
cartoon
Sonic
syrup.
3 video called Wonder Man. So
Wonder Hog.
this
Wonderhog.
is wild.
Well,
Okay.
I can't click the video because if I click it, everyone hears it.
Well, why
Oh,
not just
yeah.
mute it? Just you can mute it.
It's the split second it pops up. I don't want.
We'll look at it after the podcast.
Yeah, I can look at it after the podcast. It's
Okay,
fine.
Wallace, you've got a super
Wild.
to read.
Okay, we got Otis Small with 5 mentions of Metroid Dread. Ya boy chiming in. I feel like Channel Pup could be secretly racist because he says Sega with the hard R.
Yeah, well, you say Sonic R with the hard R, so fuck you.
Somebody said that in my stream the other day. Like, just called it. I don't know what the joke was, but it led to Sonic Hard R. Like that was going to be the name. Of it. Like
I
a
play
very intense
Sonic-
mod of Sonic R.
I play Sonic R in hard mode. That makes me a racist.
This is the most 90s shit, man.
Oh.
Wow.
So can we get out of here?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, I gotta finish some stuff up, man.
The train headed for Sunset City has arrived.
Yeah.
And we're
Guys-
getting off, going to the station, getting a hoagie.
Oh, I swear to God. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I know we said we're going to cover all of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but I think it's
a big game.
bit off a little bit more than we could chew here. And yeah, I'll send you guys the link too. Why the hell not? There you go. So everybody else can go watch it for yourselves. This is a very God damn, this video is something else. But yeah, guys, what are you up to these days on your channels? Cirrus, why don't we start with you?
I'm still halfway through editing my Resident Evil 3 video. I forgot how much of a pain in the ass editing could be. And
Yeah.
I just kind of don't want to.
Oh, we got another.
Oh,
And
no.
this is from Black Yakuzu 94, sends 5. And my favorite parts of these
Wow.
episodes is hearing Pups slowly drain the sanity of everyone in the chat. Oh, that means I'm part of your favorite part of the thing. Oh my god, I'm so very touched, and I might take you to court for that.
Oh God! Check Twitter, dudes. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
No, Ink, what are you doing?
Let's go here. Did you tag us?
No,
Did you
Ink, what
tag
have you
us?
done? What have you done, Ink? What have you done? What
Ink,
have
I'm very. I would be very happy if you.
No, hold
tag
up,
me.
hold up. I think I found it. I found it. I'll send a link to you guys. We were tagged as Sunset City. This is actually really nice. Actually, like this is so much nicer than what I was expecting.
I still remember.
Whoa.
I
Oh,
love
I've got
this
my hair colored right too.
I will show this. This is great.
comment that you had, Nick, where Ink was saying they weren't sure like who to have the other 2 characters as, and you said something to the effect of like, consider which one is filled with acid and which one is a sweet baby boy or something like that.
Serious, can we throw that up on the stream?
Yes, I can do that. I will do that because this is amazing.
That is
Hold on.
adorable.
Open image in new tab. Why did it not open image in new tab, please? Thank you. Freaking, I just want the image so that I can pull it up here. because this
I swear,
looks.
Ink, every time you draw me, I look more and more decrepit. Like I'm just falling apart.
He's a little older every day.
Goodness gracious.
That is precious.
I like the Sonic-fied pup though. That looks really nice. And Baby B Wayne.
Baby B Wayne.
I'm just sitting there doing my best.
Hey Wayne, can I Wayne, can I please play with your stinger and make some honey?
I'm a baby.
No, you're not. You're not. You're just very condensed into that costume. You're a grown adult, man.
I don't.
You're older than me.
Wayne, I think
Rolling
Pup
it.
is trying to see if you can pollinate him.
Go on, pollinate me, daddy.
So Wayne, what are you up to these days?
Well, I'm actually finishing up my review of Hulk Ultimate Destruction. The Patreon version will be up later today, and then the full version will be up on Sunday, so I can finally be done with this stupid video and move on to something else. So I'm excited for that.
Nice. Pup, how about you, buddy?
I'm gonna make sweet love to Wallace. I mean, the live stream series of the Batman Telltale continues. We're approaching, and I think I might do this tonight, even the finale of season 1, and then we'll start season 2 shortly after. Non-YouTube related, but I'm building the Sonic Lego set. And in terms of future videos, I want to do one about the Quill Gate for Sonic Forces. Not Sonic Forces, Sonic Frontiers. And I also would like to do a video on some new Spider-Man toys that I got. So, that's me. And, also, I'll be keeping up with the Peacemaker episodes as well and doing videos on them. So,
I was
yeah.
gonna ask how you found those. I've been enjoying the hell out of them.
I'm really enjoying it. It shows that even if it's not going my way, the DC Extended Universe still has a little gas in the tank. But
And
you need a...
Batmite is confirmed for it too.
Yeah, but we're not going to see him, so... like, they need a Batman and Superman in this universe pronto, but, like, in the meantime, I'm enjoying Peacemaker and James Gunn's contributions to this universe.
Yeah. All right. Well, Quillgate. I mean, I spoke with another YouTuber about it, and he was just like, "This is just the green eyes all over again." Like, yeah. You're
I
right.
literally said that last week.
Oh yeah, you did do that too. Yeah. No, I mean we're.
No, I get it. I'm not a YouTuber to you. I get it.
You're right.
Because
You're
I'm
not
a
a YouTuber
friend.
to us. You're a friend. God damn it!
I beat you. I beat you. Ha! Turn off the podcast.
I can't believe Pup
So-
was beating Cirrus on stream.
So I have a channel called
Game.
Game Apologist. I just restarted doing Sunset City. Not Sunset City. We're doing Sunset City. Sonic speed reading. I'm gonna have those coming out for the next couple weeks as well. Gonna be starting Archie soon, but I'm actually coming up to the 5th anniversary of my first video being launched on February 4th. So I'm gonna plan something fun for my channel, and that's gonna be a Friday. So I'll probably promote whatever I'm doing after we're done with that episode too.
So Wayne, I got some beads that have the look of the red and blue spheres. I was wondering if you wanted to make a little use of them. You know,
Seriously,
Wink,
you need to end the show.
Meeting.
Yep.
Meeting.
It's time. It's time.